It's algebra?
It's hard.
Oh, that's easy.
Easy.
Well, then again, I was very good at math. I'm very good at math.
I remember algebra, and I actually was pretty good at math back then. But
with
then
you.
I went to college and tried to deal with calculus, and that was not a fun time.
Don't take pre-calc. Don't.
All right, so we're going to start with the basics because everybody's euphoric. That's really excited to see me, right? Good for everyone. Okay, and because they grew up the Bears, 51. 23?
3.
Do I hear 23? 27?
23.
23.
51, 23. Okay? And that's why my notes, I would have remembered the score. Although you might say, how can you not remember the score because he was at the game? Yes, I was at the game. And I'm going to tell you,
There was a game.
it was a great game. Considering the last Patriots game I went to, Tom Brady got hurt against Kansas City in December. So I'm glad that much better finish, 51-23, Tom Brady was amazing. I will say this about the game of football. Being there is not more fun. It is a much better sport on television. You see more angles. You have the ease of going to the refrigerator or someplace else, like the bathroom. You know, let's face it, we had to go. You got to go and you got to go. And it was great.
There's no hassle of getting out of the parking lot.
And I'll tell you, it could take us about 35 minutes just to get out of the parking
Gillette
lot.
Stadium traffic is the worst traffic in this country.
You know, it is an amazing thing that after all these years, and the stadium's beautiful. And that's why tailgating, I think, is so popular because people do. They hit before, they get there early, they stay late, and everybody goes home and no problem. Actually, it isn't right. But that being said, the game was great. They scored 30. I have never seen what they scored 21 in 6 or 7 seconds. 2 touchdowns. All right, so I want to get your reactions to the game, and I think everybody is pretty much satisfied with the fact that Tom Brady is back. Not that he ever went.
And my reaction is, there's a lot of people calling it the traffic. They don't win this one. So they really need to take it when they came out. I love it.
Well, what I see is a tale of two teams. I see the New England Patriots who have hit their stride over the past 4 weeks. And then you have the slowly getting to the bottom of the NFL Chicago Bears. Basically, the Chicago Bears, their play against Miami carried over into obvious teams who don't want to face in New England at home, and it was just very sloppy. But I will give the Patriots defense credit. Their secondary was great on Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey. Revis and Browner had excellent coverage on them, and I'll even bring the D-line as well. You know, it's amazing how the Patriots can adapt when they don't have the weapons that they have. I mean, you know, Chicago could have just ran all over them because they don't have Gerard Mayo, but they didn't. They could have went to the outside because they don't have a pass stop of Chandler Jones. But it's just great to see. It was a very dominating match. And
Brock was a beast,
Yes.
especially on that one touchdown run where he threw the guy off him like a bug.
Yes.
He says, "There's a bug on me."
Get him
Get rid
off.
of- Get him
Get-
off.
yeah.
That's right.
Get him out of my way.
You brought up the. I want to talk about the offensive line because at the beginning of the season, when the Patriots started out 2-2, people were jumping off the building. You know, it was ridiculous how upset
Felger
people
was
were.
playing with that.
You know what? That was their preseason. I even said it. I think on the
and
show.
I agree with you.
Right.
too.
And because they don't play a preseason. They don't. What they do in that preseason is identify probably 20 players that are going to make the roster. And the Patriots and the new guy finally figured out the right 5 guys to have on that offensive line. Ryan Dan Thomas, and the rookie Brian Stork at the center. And Solder and Sebastian and that was outstanding.
I will say, Stork had a couple penalties back to back. He's got to improve on that, but he did have a great game.
You want him to make
to be
those.
expected.
Yeah, you
So
want
we
to
can
make.
learn.
That's right. You want him to make those mistakes now in the beginning of the season. Anyway, you don't want to make.
January.
Right. And I think one of them brought up the fact that Brandon Browner is back.
Yes.
secondary, the Patriots secondary now is, you could say, one of the best, if not the best in the NFL, because they're the only team that hasn't good enough to have to over 40 yards. Now, be careful what you wish for, guys, because next week there's a certain guy coming to talk to us.
A certain guy
could
who
erase
broke
that
the-
very easily in one pass.
You know, some guy who broke the career NFL touchdown mark. Or pass touchdown.
The Broncos can come into Foxborough next week and blow out the Patriots, and we'll be right back on the edge
Where
of the
we
Tobin
started,
Bridge again.
yes.
Or we
Okay?
could have like last year.
Or Patriots could beat the Denver Broncos, which has happened in the past at home around this time of the year. Brady and Manning have kind of seen each other just about every year. It seems, even when he was on the Colts, it seemed like the Colts were always on the Patriots schedule. Anyway, long story on that one. It's going to be a great game next Sunday at 4:30.
It's gonna be great. These are, in my opinion, the two best teams in the AFC. In the AFC, these are the two teams that are gonna go 1-2, no order. The two great offenses led by two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and improving defense. Also with Denver, picking up DeMarcus Ware, stealing. I'm gonna say stealing Aqib Talib, and then the 1-2 secondary. What I'm very curious to see, though, is while I was watching the game, I noticed when Cutler threw a pass to Brandon Marshall, it looked like Browner was kind of aggressive, getting in his. That's right. He's getting because he played that with Seattle, and it was very telling to see. He made a lot of contact with Marshall, and Marshall wanted to call. So we'll have to see if the refs are going to allow Browner to be that way in the secondary if he goes on either Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, or even Wes Welker.
Right. Browner is a very aggressive defensive back. It's why they brought him in.
Yeah.
And he did have 2 penalties against him. And I don't want to stop him from doing that. I want him to continue to be aggressive, although he recognizes that, look, I know you never want to have a penalty. You just don't want to take a penalty for your team at any time.
But it's just the way I play.
But it's how he
It's my
plays.
nature.
And I don't
That's
want
how I
that's
play the
exactly
game.
right. And you're familiar with that
Yes.
beast, right?
Yes.
Because it's more like a hockey beast.
Yes. That's speaking my language, Jimmy.
I knew you.
We'll
I
get
knew
to
I
hockey
was.
later.
I knew I was. All right. Let's go back to the Gronk for a second. Rob Gronkowski, 3 touchdowns, including that romp that was in the second half that really put the game away for the Patriots. He was This is what I find really amazing. He was targeted 9 times.
And he caught all of them.
Hang on a second. We had that little sign that said on, and now I don't know which is on and I'm like trying to figure out which camera's on. Is it that one? That one. Hi
That
there.
one.
How are you? See, now you can
Hi.
look at the camera. Okay. So Gronkowski was targeted 9 times, and he made 9 catches. Brady threw 30 of 35 passes. There was 2 drops by Julian Edelman. There was a drop by, I think, Shane Vereen.
Doubting him. He comes out with a game like
gets
this.
so pissed. Well, you know what?
He gets mad.
He does get mad because he's one of the most fierce competitors.
And that's what,
That's-
throughout
everybody-
history, the best have always done this.
And because he works so hard making sure he improves. And that's another thing that I saw
TB12.
about Tom Brady, is the fact that he's now able to feel the pressure. Not only is he stepping up, but he's stepping up and moving and throwing the ball, which even he admitted was something he had to work on. And that's really the test and a great characteristic
Yeah,
of
and
great players,
instead
because
of
they're not
blaming-
satisfied with their performance.
And I like how he doesn't pin everything on his receivers like other quarterbacks like to do. And I really, come on, you're a team. It's all your faults.
No,
If you screw up.
Yeah, I agree. But he also gives credit to his offensive line
yeah,
because he
definitely.
knows if they keep him, if he has time to throw
Yeah.
and go through his progressions, he's going to be dynamite. He's going to be the best quarterback of all time, which he has played too.
And another thing with Brady is he's trusting his receivers more. He went, I think it was 11 receptions for LaFell.
Yep.
He did go to Gronk a lot, but he was expanding, outside of Gronkowski and Edelman. He's now trusting his receivers more. He thinks when you throw it to Brandon LaFell, he's going to catch it every time. So I think that was key for Brady to get on the same page as his receivers. Because when they do get on the same page, Chicago Bears could have kissed it goodbye.
So if you're game planning for the Patriots next week, if you're Denver and you're coming in here and you want to take away one thing from the Patriots offense, you're going to put in certain formations and for different situations, but you want to take away one thing. What's the one thing you would try to take away from the Patriots offense next week?
The beast, Rob Gronkowski.
Which may mean you have to put 2 or 3 guys on him at all times.
Yes.
I think with me, what I would do is I would.
You can try.
You can try.
I would try and blitz the offense as much, because we know when Brady does not get the time, he does not throw accurately. He has to keep scrambling out of the pocket and looking for receivers, and sometimes they won't be there and he'll throw them away. And with an incredible defensive end like DeMarcus Ware, with a great linebacker like Von Miller, Denver is able to do that. So if you can give Brady less time to get the ball out of his hands, Denver should be pretty good with their defense.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. 2. Any idea what that means?
The 2
Let's give them
cameras
2
working.
cameras are working. 2 minutes left in the segment. Oh, because we're timing our segments. Okay, all right. I get it. No, that's good. I like that. It's all right. It's loose. We're trying to figure out this whole thing. Because we don't have, when you guys eventually get hired, okay, you're going to have these little earpieces called IFBs,
Yes.
which stands for Intermittent Frequency Broadcast, which, by the way, was actually
thing when you were
no, but it was a answer to a question on a quiz that I gave at Curry College.
Oh.
So if you end up there and you end up in one of my classes, IFB stands for Intermittent Frequency Broadcast.
Do I get a prize if I
Sure,
get it right?
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got a prize right here.
Oh, I
Sorry.
got it right just now.
Jimmy
And
Myers
I-
brought his prizes in.
All
We're
right.
going to give them out.
And I would like to say, when we have short time, I'd like to say some more about the Chicago Bears. Bears are on the
Stink.
yes, they are on the decline.
Yeah, I like
I
Cutler.
don't think Cutler is the right quarterback for him because he's
don't
too
like Cutler.
inconsistent. And I will say, it's just one of those games where you couldn't win. For example, I'm sure many of you know, Lamar Houston celebrating a sack on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Go ahead.
And he
Enjoy
tears
it.
his ACL and he is done for the year.
That is hilarious.
That tells you that your team just cannot win,
That's hysterical.
no matter what.
Sorry.
You cannot win even when you celebrate.
I'm not one to laugh at other people's misfortune, but that was pretty funny.
You know what, though? I can laugh at that misfortune because he's a bonehead for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay?
When your team is down by that much, you don't do that.
Absolutely. Not to mention the fact
Scoreboard, pal.
That's right. I said I was like, he's dancing. I'm like, what are you dancing about? You're down by a lot. Okay.
Scoreboard.
So you guys know that our old friend Lauren Screeden
Of course,
yes.
Lauren.
is a big Bears fan.
Oh,
Bears.
how's it feel, Lauren?
She would not bet on the game with me. No wagers. Okay. And she said to me in a text during the game, "I'm seriously running out of ways to tastefully report on the Bears. Absolutely stinking." She used another word, but I'm not going to
Well,
use
you
that.
know, I would like to bet her that the Bruins will beat the Blackhawks in their 1 regular season meeting this year. Or 2, because every team goes to every arena twice.
And if you lose, will you wear a Blackhawks t-shirt
I
like
will.
I did?
I will.
Okay, and you'll look
And
better
I do
in
have
it.
a hat to add on with it.
All right.
I'm just saying, be careful
that
what you wish for.
That'll wrap up our Patriots segment because we're going to try and move this forward.
Yeah, let's move
okay?
this along.
Wrap up our Patriots segment. We can always come back to the Patriots if we want, but at this point,
I think we'll be referencing them a lot.
I think it's time to bring on the Broncos. So now we're going to do the NFL roundup. You guys have been prepared for this.
We have.
I love that. I love being able to assign you guys chores, and you're actually able to do it. Oh, one more thing. Wait, check this out. We can do this. Oh, that's not going to help.
That's a number.
Yeah, no, that's a number. Jamie, put up the number. It's 508-909-5962. If you call it, this will ring. I won't give you my own cell phone, unless, of course, you're a friend of mine. Then, of course, you can text me or call me anytime. But anybody who doesn't know us, that's how you reach us. And it would be funny to take a phone call just because we've never done it before.
Yeah, fun.
You know, it could be very scary, too. But you know what? We're willing to do that. Let's start. We're going to start with Tom.
Oh,
The hockey guy is going to start with
Okay.
Can you handle
football.
that? With a
Sure.
little Minnesota. Give us a little report on the
All
Minnesota
right, the
Tampa Bay
Minnesota
game.
defeated the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Tampa Bay Bucks 19-13 in overtime. And what's damning if you're the Tampa Bay Bucks. Minnesota tied the game with a field goal in their final drive of the game, and then they won the game on a recovered fumble by Anthony Barr. So, not a good day in Tampa Land.
When's it ever a good day? When's it ever a good day for Buccaneers football?
Never, because they are 0-4 at home this year.
They
Just
are bad.
I feel bad for you, Logan Mankins. I really do.
That really sent him to purgatory, didn't they? Well, you know what, though? He's laughing all the way to the bank. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
All right, what's
all right,
next?
Joe, the next game is yours.
All right, we got
Detroit and Atlanta, which let me ask you guys a question. The game started at 9:30 in the morning.
Because they were in London.
Because they were in London. Did you enjoy that?
I was sleeping.
I guess you didn't enjoy it.
I did get up to watch it, and to further the report, it was very exciting because Atlanta was up 21-0, and they gave it up. The Lions won on a game-winning field goal by Matt Prater, formerly a Denver Bronco. But the very telling thing was, I think the referees might have blown a call. So the thing was, there was 1 second on the play clock, and the referees still called it a delay of game. The clock did not run down. It was a 5-yard penalty. The Lions get another chance. Prater gets a chance, puts it up in the uprights. It's good, and the Falcons are 2-6. I did not surprise this from Atlanta. I did not see it coming from Atlanta.
All right, and we're going to give away a prize. If the first person to come up here to tell me what the name of the stadium is that the game was played in London. And if there's any soccer fans out there and you don't know the name of this, you should be ashamed and embarrassed. Okay, so the first person to come up here and tell me what the name of the stadium is in London, England. Okay?
No, it's London, Ontario.
That's right. Don't everybody rush. Okay?
One more time.
Okay, so if you know the name of the stadium in London where the Atlanta Falcons and Detroit Lions played their game yesterday, it's a very famous soccer stadium. Okay, and if you do know the name, we'll give you a pat. We'll give you another prize. We actually have 2 prizes, different ones. So if you come up with it, you get Wembley.
We got a winner. We got a winner.
You get a hoodsie. No, you don't get a hoodsie. Remember hoodsies? Wait, I already gave you that one.
What's that?
Wait, we'll do the next report and I'll get this out there. It is Tom, Houston, Tennessee.
Okay, after jumping out to the 3-0 lead on a field goal, Tennessee gave up 27 unanswered points. And eventually lost the game 30-16 after, coming back a bit, making the game at least a slight bit interesting, but in the end it really wasn't. The Tennessee Titans dropped to 2-6 on the year, and the Texans improved 4-4 on the year. Adrian Foster led all running backs with 131 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
And I'd also like to note Jadeveon Clowney, first game since week 1.
That's right. And he was. And what's the significance of that player? Was he the first pick in the draft?
He was the number 1 pick in the draft, and when he becomes back to what he was when he was with South Carolina, him and J.J. Watt on the 2 ends, my goodness, that's going to be a dangerous team.
All right, and let's continue along with the Cincinnati and Baltimore game, which was one of the better games of the week.
That's right, the AFC North rivalry, the Bengals and the Ravens. The Bengals coming out 27-24 on a 1-yard run with 57 seconds left to go by Andy Dalton. The Bengals now stand at 4-2-1. Baltimore falls to 5-3, which makes the AFC North a very even closer race.
What do you think of the races so far in the NFL? Needless to say, the AFC East is pretty much the Patriots.
Yeah, it's been the Patriots.
Bills
for the
are
last,
hanging in there. They're hanging in there.
Oh, okay.
They're hanging in
The
there.
Bills are going to win the AFC.
I will say,
the Bills are going to have to beat the Patriots in the last game of the regular season to get to the playoffs.
Yes.
That's what I think, and I don't think that's going to happen. I'm trying to get to power rankings.
I will say, to answer your question, the division races are very exciting. You have, the AFC West, who everyone was thinking that Denver was just going to run away with it, but San Diego is hanging in there, and San Diego gave Denver a run for their money on Thursday night. So we're not going to count.
Wait. You thought San Diego and Denver? You think San Diego was in that game?
Well, they made it close.
At the end, I know. I think that the Broncos took control of that game, and that was that.
But I'm just saying, no division in the NFL is secure other than the AFC East.
Right. All right. Fair enough. So I'm going to give you the bottom. We'll go from 10. Baltimore Ravens. This is according to Bleacher Report, their latest Power rankings, Ravens 9, Cincinnati Bengals. Wait, Ravens 10, Bengals 9.
Yes.
Thank you. Indianapolis Colts 8. The Patriots were 7. Now the Green Bay Packers are 7th. Jamie, you
Sorry,
should be
Jamie.
happy about that. The Philadelphia Eagles are 6th. The Detroit Lions are 5th.
Shocker.
Needless to say, the Patriots have jumped. Arizona Cardinals are 4th. 3rd, your New England Patriots, up from 7. That's pretty much
okay,
where I
that's
think they
good.
belong, actually. Dallas Cowboys 2 until they lose to Washington tonight. And the Denver Broncos are number 1. So there you go.
All right.
All
If,
right.
if
That's
you're,
your
if
power
you're calling the
rankings.
prediction, if
I'm
you're
not-
calling the prediction,
Here's the thing. Is there any other reason to watch? Cowboys and Redskins.
DeMarco Murray
do I
going
said
for
the name.
history. DeMarco Murray's still going for history.
That's right. But this is a game that you throw out the records, you throw out everything. They don't like each other. This is Cowboys and Indians, guys. That's what it comes down to. You were too young for Cowboys and Indians. By that time, it was politically incorrect to see that. Who's got Seattle and Carolina?
I got Seattle, Carolina,
Go
and
Chargers.
Seattle,
another.
one of the strangest teams in NFL.
Of course, the defending Super Bowl champions, who now stand at 4-3, beat the Carolina Panthers to drop the Panthers to under 500 at 3-4-1 on a 23-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to his cousin, second removed, Luke Wilson, and they took the lead and they won 13-9. It's very strange to see Seattle. They're 4-3 and they're defending Super Bowl champions. Don't you think they should be more at the top?
Well, I think it's very difficult to defend at the Super Bowl for a Super Bowl, and no one expected Seattle to have a great regular season. I don't think. However, this is a team you do not want to play in the playoffs. They too will get better. They've had some injuries. They lost some players. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. That's the bottom line. But we'll see. Tom,
Yes.
you have
Which
Buffalo and the Jets.
Yes.
Lucky you.
A close one.
And we have a big breaking story on the New York Jets, too.
And
Rex Ryan is still the coach.
okay.
Sorry.
The Buffalo Bills defeated the New York Jets 43-23 as the
Any
Jets
other
fall
surprise?
to 1-7, and the Bills improved to 5-3. Kyle Orton had 238 passing yards with 4 touchdowns. I said that. I said
Okay.
Orton.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard it
Sure.
differently. Go ahead.
Regroup.
That's right.
And good news. Michael Vick led the Jets in rushing yards of 69. So
All right.
a hand to Michael Vick.
And he did
Okay.
take
I don't
over
think I
for
can
Geno
ever give
Smith.
Michael Vick a hand just because of who he is and what
he
he's
did.
about.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
he
I will
was a great
say
player.
with Michael Vick, he's not going to drastically change the New York Jets, but he's going to make the Jets better. They're not.
What's
I
better?
don't think. Well,
Define better.
Yeah, define better. That's exactly
okay,
right.
you want me to define better?
Define better.
I will say
They'll win another
that
game.
They will get another
Win?
4 or 5 games out.
I mean, they're 1-7.
Yes.
Okay, so is the next 8 games not as bad as 1-7?
Right.
So like 2-6.
If they stick with Michael Vick.
Well, they're starting him next week. That was announced today. I don't know if you got to see the general manager's press conference of the New York Jets. I felt really bad for the guy, but he's like, look, my fault. I take responsibility for this. We're not playing. We know that. We're not going to make a change in our coach during the season. Okay. It's fine. Then blame all 53 players on the roster, and I think that's pretty much what he's doing. All right, next up, Miami and Jacksonville.
Well, no other story other than Jacksonville loses again. They lose to the Dolphins 27-13. The Dolphins are 4-3, still hanging on in the AFC East. They're not out of it just yet.
Miami and Buffalo are beating teams that they should beat, I think.
Okay. And Blake Bortles for Jacksonville, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Surprisingly, one of the top leaders in interceptions, even though we did take over in about, I think it was week 2 or week 3. So, but the big story was Denard Robinson, who got his first start at running back, formerly the quarterback of the Michigan Wolverines, got 18 carries for 108 yards. So we could be looking at the next Jacksonville running back.
KC and St. Louis.
KC and St. Louis, well, after St. Louis jumped out to the 7-0 lead, KC scored 34 unanswered points.
Yeah, Kansas City, they finally woke up again, and they look like the team that beat the Patriots. I don't know where they went for a few games. They went on that bye week and never came back.
And a couple cool factoids. Nile Davis returned a kickoff 99 yards for a touchdown. It's pretty good. Jamar Giles got a couple touchdowns. So a good game for KC. Not so much if you're a St. Louis Rams fan.
And St. Louis is coming off of beating Seattle. So
Yeah.
you'd have to think that momentum would carry because they're still at home.
Not really.
All right, the next two games that we're going to talk about, guys, I was going to do some quick math here. Over 110 points between the two games. We'll start with the Saints and Packers, and then we'll finish with Ben Roethlisberger's
All right, well,
performance.
first I'm going to say, sorry, Jamie, but we're going to talk about the Packers losing. This
Badgers, he's clinging to his alma mater. That's how pathetic it is, all right?
So the New Orleans Saints beat the Green Bay Packers 44-23. It was, interesting enough, it was tied 16-16 at halftime, and then New Orleans came out on fire, and Drew Brees lit it up on the Green Bay secondary. He threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns, but the critical point for Aaron Rodgers was those 2 interceptions. He may have had 418 yards. Randall Cobb may have had 126 receiving yards, but the mistakes from Rodgers throwing those 2 picks cost him, and the Saints blew out the Packers.
And he had 203 first quarter yards, which were the most in any quarter of his career.
That's right.
So that's impressive, but certainly not enough. And the Saints had to win that game. The Packers played like they didn't need
Even
to be
want
there.
to, yeah.
They didn't need it.
Well,
They
it's
were like,
great.
"Have it on it."
Yeah,
Well, it is
whatever.
great for
Well,
the-
we're getting paid.
It's great for the
Right.
Saints. It's great for the Saints to win at home. The only question is, can they win on the road? Obviously, what
Well, the
we've
Bears
seen,
went on the road for 3 games, and what good did that do him yesterday, right? Didn't do him much good. All right, let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger, because he did something yesterday that
He
nobody's
set
ever.
a Steelers record.
6 touchdown passes
What?
in one game, 51-34, Steelers over the Colts. I'll tell you, it was a great
How old
game
is
to
he?
watch. He's old. He's 35.
Not
Which
as
isn't
old as
old.
Brady.
Not as old as Brady.
No,
No,
not as
wow.
old as Brady. But I think he's 35. If you really want to know, ask the internet.
Internet.
Internet, how old is Ben Roethlisberger? You know? Oh,
Another trivia question.
He knows where to go for the answer. You
Oh,
go.
all
Ben.
right.
I'm saying
We got our
35.
special reference.
It might be 34. All right, we keep going.
All right, and to talk about Ben Roethlisberger and just the Steelers in general, I mean, the Steelers were coming off of a Monday night win over Houston.
32. I
It
was
32.
wrong. You get a prize for that.
32.
All right.
By the way, these prizes are courtesy of Jimmy Meyer's friend Morgan White. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Morgan.
Here it is.
And
Only kidding.
to talk about the Steelers, the
There you
Steelers
go.
are improving.
That's
They
a good thing. That's a good thing. You put it on your bike, it's a reflector, or put it behind your head. People know where you are. It's always a good thing.
To
Look, that was good. I saw that, Jamie.
And to go on with the Steelers, they're currently sitting at 5-3. I think they could make a case for the wild card.
I think actually there's a team. I think Baltimore and Pittsburgh, because of the way they play, physical teams, never a good matchup for the Patriots. But I have a feeling it's going to be one of those teams coming to Foxborough for the first playoff game that'll be there, because I think the Patriots are going to be the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC East. You know, I am one of the few who really does believe that they can get to the Super Bowl and win it this year. I really think they can. I think that'll be a great story. As long as they don't play the Giants.
Giants
I
are
don't
good.
think that's going to happen this year. I'm going to go out on a limb.
And what Ben Roethlisberger did was against the Indianapolis Colts, who shut out the Bengals a week before that. So to do that against the Indianapolis Colts, who are one of the more surprising teams in the league, it tells you a lot. It tells a lot.
All right, any other notes on the NFL that you want to throw in that we didn't get
Arizona, Philly.
to? Arizona, Philly. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, well, the Cardinals and the Eagles, what in my opinion was one of the better games of the day. It was a game-winning touchdown. Carson Palmer threw it to John Brown, 75 yards, and that makes Carson Palmer undefeated so far as a starter this year. Remember, in Week 1, he did go out due to injury. Drew Stanton came in. He, I believe, only lost 1 game. He was 2. Then Palmer comes in. Another surprising team, the Cardinals, beat the Eagles 24-20.
That's right. All right, good job. By the way, Joe, this is exactly why I love doing sports talk shows with you, because, I have no clue what you just said. I know it was right, though, because it's exactly what I've been hearing all day.
Sponsors.
Right.
I know. Thank our sponsors, our Scrub a Dub, and of course we are live at the Knobscott Cafe. It's burger night.
You guys are
here.
awesome.
Hey, is there any way we can turn it around, actually let people see that we actually have people? What's that? Yeah. Just to see there's
There
actually
are
a room
people
full
here,
of people
folks.
actually listening to us on the edge of their seats while
People
they're
are
eating
actually
their
coming.
while they're eating their burgers, which are only $3.99 here on Burger Night on Mondays. Anyway, this is great. Cricket and Jamie are now talking, and Cricket's learning how to flip the camera around. It's always kind of cool. I just think that's it. And Scrub It Up Car Wash, we have one more car wash to give away. We're going to save that for the Jimmies. That's coming up. We've got some great guests lined up for the Jimmies. Lenny Megliola, who's a longtime columnist for the Metro West Daily, is coming out to join us. And what's going on with that? Oh, Cricket, I think we're seeing your reflection of your shirt. Yeah, that's what we were saying, yeah. That's right, you get any closer to that light, you might inflame. We don't want that. Oh, look, see, there are people. Wait, watch. I'm going to switch now because it's live on the right screen, right? Oh, yeah, let's get some pictures of people. Let's see if we can get pictures of people eating. They really enjoy that. No, they don't. Nobody wants to be on camera while they're eating.
No.
But we'll let it go for a while, just because I want people to see that we actually have a lot of fans here tonight at the Knobscott Cafe. It's always good and always fun here. And I appreciate both you guys and your families for showing up and supporting the cause. All right, we've put the NFL to bed. We all feel good about the Patriots-Broncos next week because we are talking about it with our heart. Here's the thing about the Patriots. They can execute and beat any team in the league. They have the ability, the game plan, they have the players to do it. Will they or not? I don't know. And I think that's why I think that they can still, they're going to come to play, they're going to be at home, it's going to be colder, not, behind, it's going to be like 40 degrees, which is colder because
Brady's used to it.
Well, Brady, I love it when Brady plays in the snow. He loves it. He loves the elements because it gives him an advantage. That's right. No, I don't. The tuck rule is no longer.
That depresses me.
So let's move on to that other sport that I think ended about, I don't know, May for me because the Red Sox obviously were not in it. I could have cared less after that. It's baseball. And a very interesting thing is happening in the World Series.
I'm the only one that cares about the World Series here, folks.
You are the only one who cares. Well, look, Tom, do you care about the World Series?
No.
I don't care about the World Series, but Joe, you do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this is small ball. This is the Giants are leading now 3-2, and they're going back to Kansas City now for games 6 and 7.
That's right.
Right? All right. So yeah, I knew that. And here's the thing. Tom, you're a hockey guy.
Yes, I am.
You like constant action when you watch sports, right?
Yes.
Okay? I think, well, let's not get into soccer, but let's just stick with hockey.
Yeah.
Basketball is up and down. It's constant action. Okay,
Yeah.
right? All right.
The amount of timeouts kind of
The fact that baseball takes forever to play.
it's like marathoning Lord of the Rings. You don't want to do that.
It really is. I'll tell you, what I've been watching, Joe? I pick it up in the 7th inning. 7th, 8th inning. And I've seen the end of games, and I saw whatever they had, 5 runs, 7 runs in that San Francisco last night, right? Or the night before. I can't even remember. Because there's no memorable games. I just didn't. No, the home run ball is not in baseball. It is not on. It's
You know
not
why, Jimmy?
on display in the World Series. Why?
No steroids.
I knew that you'd say that. I knew that you'd say
You were
that.
jumping on his bandwagon.
They
a few
need
weeks ago.
performance enhancement. I don't care where they get it or when they get it.
Yeah, maybe too much is always bad. No one wants roid rage. I'm not advocating for roid rage.
We don't want steroids.
Maybe a
right.
specific dosage.
Well, there's a couple of things. One is, I think, by taking amphetamines out of the game, those were the little greenies, the little pills that kind of sped you up a little bit and allowed you to get through a long season. And I think that has had
So
more
they're
an
getting
effect than
tired
they
earlier.
thought. Right. I think that had more of an effect on players than they thought. But in the meantime,
Well, if
they
we're
are
actually going to get a World Series preview in, allow me
yes.
to,
Okay.
to
Go ahead.
further
Go
your
ahead.
enhancement.
Go
So,
ahead.
as you mentioned earlier,
It's not a
San Francisco.
preview. Are you going to give us a preview of Game 6?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
going to give you a preview
Go
of
ahead.
Game
Go
6.
ahead, Joe.
Joe,
It's
you can
back
do
in
this.
It's your
Kansas
show,
City.
Joe.
It's can't. Yeah, sit back. This is my
Yeah,
show
yeah,
now. So it's back in Kansas City, and the strongest thing for Kansas City is their bullpen. The bullpen has basically carried them to allow them to win. Now that it's 3-2, the Giants have the momentum wrong. It is back in Kansas City. They are on their home turf, and the Royals are going to get it done in Game 6. Then we're going to go to Game 7, which you should watch.
I will watch a Game 7.
Thank you.
Okay, I
Thank
won't
you.
tune in.
And that
in the
goes for
7th.
you too.
Oh, you know what? Game 7's in the playoffs or in any sport I watch.
Because history is going to be made that night, and everything's on the line. Every player's eligible. I love it when they bring in starters for an inning or whatever, even though
yeah.
they'll take forever to play. But still, I think baseball's in trouble. The average viewer of the World Series, average age, is younger than me, 55 years
Baby
old.
boomers.
Yeah, baby boomers. They boomed all right. And,
No Gen X, no
and
Gen
the
Y, no Gen Z.
U.S.-Portugal World Cup soccer game is outrating the World Series.
Oh, that's
And-
bad.
I love
Now-
that. Soccer has absolutely arrived in this country. I love it.
Now getting back to baseball,
And
San
good luck
Francisco.
to the Revs.
Go,
And
let's go.
getting back to the World Series, the San Francisco Giants are led with their offense. They have power, they have the long ball, and they are
The
getting
Panda,
run.
Pablo Sandoval, is he
They
the
are
long
getting-
ball? Should he come to the Red Sox?
He should, but he probably won't.
Okay.
So, and led by Sandoval, Buster Posey, and I'll even throw in Hunter Pence. The Giants have been able to score runs. Why? Because they have had a good lead, and it's been held by Madison Bumgarner, who I think right now is the best postseason pitcher in the major leagues as of right now.
Well,
so
it makes sense.
If
I
they
mean-
can keep their pitching, if they can pass it down to Jake Peavy and a bunch of those other guys,
That's a big challenge.
Right.
I love Jake Peavy, really nice guy. His best days are behind him. He's a 5-inning starter, 6 maybe.
Yes, but if that kind of performance from Bumgarner can be brought down to the other San Francisco Giants starters, then the Giants will have a greater chance at getting the World Series, their third in 5 years.
Which is impressive unto itself. The Giants, if you will, are the Patriots of the baseball.
Yes, but they are too inconsistent. The other 2 times they didn't win the World Series, they didn't even make playoffs.
That's what happens. All right. So, and you like small ball? You like the strategy? You like to bunt the man over?
Either way, whatever way you can get runs. I like strategic baseball. I like strategic. I am
So-
a fan of the long ball as well.
Okay, but so does that mean you prefer watching a generic National League game versus a generic American League
How do you
game?
feel about the DH?
Well, that goes to the.
Yeah.
You knew that.
Well,
That was
obviously,
good.
I'm going
smart.
to watch the American
Yeah.
League because a certain team that is around this
Right.
area
We
is
love
in
the
the
Red
American
Sox.
League.
I'm trying to
Or
get
Red
to a
Sox.
generic. I'm going to Baltimore.
But if you were talking,
Baltimore Seattle game.
But if you were talking generic, I would watch a National League game because there is no DH, the pitcher bats, and that builds for more strategy. The pitcher will sacrifice himself to get the run over, and then come the actual hitters of the game. So that's why I like watching National League games.
All right. Well, I did tune in to see. It's Madison Bumgarner, right?
Bumgarner.
And he's actually a very good hitting pitcher. I mean, batting .250. I think his on-base percentage was something like .775 this year
okay.
for a pitcher, which I guess is
Not
pretty
bad.
good. No, it's very good. It's good for a position.
Pitcher,
He led the Red Sox. He would have led the Red Sox with that. But again, let's go back to slow game. Way too long.
Yep.
They have to speed it up. Dan Shaughnessy did a column on this earlier this week or yesterday in the Sunday Globe, and I actually agreed with him. Which unto itself is pretty
How do you
challenging.
feel about the pitch clock idea?
I love the idea of the pitch clock.
A lot of I've been talking to a lot of baseball people around my high school, and they hate it.
Well, you know what? It's easy to hate.
Yeah.
To me, it's better to like new and change. I want to do some drastic things in football too. I want to change some of the rules. They've taken the kickoff return out of the game for
Yeah.
safety reasons. I get it.
That's dumb.
It was one of the most exciting things. I've got a couple of ideas that will make it more exciting, but it does put.
Jimmy and his ideas.
Yeah, I know. Put a little bit more, not even pressure, but it gives the kicking game more of an impact on the game, which I really think they should have because right now, the percentages of field goals are like 85%, 95%. I mean, it's pretty impressive. All right, one horrible piece of news from baseball. And this happens, it seems to happen every few years in baseball too. A young person makes a bad decision and it ends up costing them their life and their profession, and it hurts. It hurts. This is
that's so
Oscar
sad.
Taveras, the 21-year-old from the St. Louis Cardinals. He was one of the bright young stars for the Cardinals.
They compared him to the next Albert Pujols.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he had a bad car accident. He and his 18-year-old girlfriend perished in it. We have not heard about if alcohol was involved or drugs were involved or anything like that. We don't know if it was just excessive speed. We know that it was a
kills me.
horrible tragedy, and it's a very sad thing.
It kills me because, like you said, he was a young kid coming into his own. He just lost everything: his life, his profession, his chance, really.
He could have become what I think one of the best players in the MLB in the next few years, but unfortunately, we're not going to see that chance. So, all thoughts and prayers to the Tavares family.
That's right. Just in case they're actually out there watching, and you never know on the internet.
They could
Hey,
be.
they could be.
You never know. Hopefully they're grieving
Right.
with their family and all this. Now, perfect segue to the Bruins, because the Bruins
Yeah.
lost one of the greatest players I'd ever seen for his age. I was so excited to watch Norman Levier play hockey. Jimmy will remember this as
this
well.
is so sad.
And he had a brain hemorrhage in the locker
In
room.
Vancouver.
And he recovered enough to
Walk.
He's alive, but he's walking slowly. And I'll tell you, I will never forget the final skate at the Boston
wasn't
Garden
that great?
when he came out. Still one of the, I get goosebumps
Ray
just
Bork
thinking
helping him
about
out.
it.
Yep.
It was fantastic. Bobby Orr too. It
Yep.
was fantastic to watch
Yeah.
that, but so sad. How are the Bruins doing, especially this week without Zdeno Chara,
Well-
lost to injury?
Well, up until Saturday night, horrible. They did take a good step in the right direction with a 4-1 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team which they should have beat and did. So I'm glad
But
they did.
Toronto's Toronto.
Yeah,
And
Toronto will
Buffalo,
always.
and they beat Buffalo too earlier in the week.
Buffalo
or a
was
week
Buffalo
ago.
was Buffalo.
Right. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat in hockey.
The game against the Islanders was absolutely brutal. There's no other way to put it.
Welcome
Because
back, Johnny
the
Boychuk.
Wasn't that Johnny Boychuk's revenge game?
Yeah, and in the second period, the Bruins were dead. They came on hard in the last 6 minutes but they couldn't get the puck in the net. That was too little, too late. I still think that was unacceptable. Play that way for the entire 60 minutes. That's what you got to do.
I mean, do you think the impact of Zdeno Chara, being out 4 to 6 weeks, do you think that could help or hurt the Bruins?
It's a two-way street, isn't it? Because it's going to hurt them because Zdeno Chara piece. The
a
Bruins
very
have
big piece.
that big 6'9" piece that he is. The Bruins, when they first signed him, built this team around him, and this team is still built around him. And also, in the last 2 postseasons, he has snuffed out. So I think you shut him down until New Year. Till the New Year, get him as rested as you.
I don't know. That might be.
Get him as
stretching it.
rested as you possibly can for the playoffs.
I think it can really help the other defensemen to step up and see how good they're
Like
going
Dougie
to be
Hamilton.
the day, when Chara is gone. This can only help. And again, he's not done for the season. He
No.
will be back.
And the Bruins play just about 500 hockey without him throughout history.
And
so,
also, this will cut down on his minutes for the year too, which I think
Which
will
would be
also
great.
good. Make him fresher for the playoffs.
And
So-
also, do you gotta think that maybe this Johnny Boychuk trade may come back to haunt him because
Yes.
he and Chara were basically the 2 top defensemen. Now
Yep.
you bring in a bunch of young guys you're telling
Yeah.
them, hey, get into
Kevin,
the role. We need you
yeah.
to play good.
Kevin Miller at 15 minutes a night, at a 5th, 6th defenseman role, I like him a lot. Him at like 25 minutes a night, don't like him as much. And Matt Barkowski the same way. And
they're going to learn by doing, though. They're going to learn by playing.
They're
This is
going
the
to
best
learn.
thing they can do.
And the best they can do right now is keep their heads above water, keep the chase the wild card in the Eastern Conference, because I don't think they're going to win the Atlantic Division this year.
I don't think it matters. I think you need to be healthy and playing good hockey in March. Actually,
The
in
LA
April,
Kings-
not March, because they played great in March last year. and they stunk it out that well. They
The
lost
LA
to
Kings are
Canadiens.
the LA Kings are the living proof of this. Just go into the playoffs hot, and you'll win the Stanley Cup.
All right, that's simple enough. That's how you do it. In the meantime, we have another league that's starting. Jimmy, come on over. I don't know, Jamie, can we get Jimmy in this shot too? The other Jimmy? If we all squeeze in. All right, so this is what we'll do. Come on, squeezing. We're squeezing.
We're squeezing.
They're squeezing. And then we put him over here like this. You guys can kind of share this microphone.
All right.
And now I cannot have no clue what I'm doing. I'm looking at the 2-box effect. Hello, Mr. Myers.
Hello, Mr. Young. How are you?
Good to see you. Looking forward to the show tonight.
Well, it's going to be fun.
It's good because, as usual,
Going
I'm
to be fun.
looking forward to talking to some really neat people, including an assistant basketball coach for the New York Knicks named Jim Clemens. Jimmy, tell me a little bit about Jim Clemens and why we're going to learn a lot about basketball just by listening to him.
Well, number one, he's a legendary coach. People keep people always talk about rings and so forth. He's had an affiliation with Phil Jackson that spans close to 20 years now. Phil Jackson hired him as an assistant, which is a unique story within itself. Jimmy played in the NBA, played against Phil Jackson, knew Phil Jackson, and Phil respected him enough to hire him. That's a relationship that has spanned through the Michael Jordan era, through the Shaq and Kobe era, and has produced 10 championship rings for Jimmy Clemens, 9 as an assistant coach and 1 as a player, and a very unique player in the fact that he, Jimmy Clemens, played on the Lakers team in 71-72 that won 33 straight games, and they're subject of an upcoming documentary that's going to be done by Joyce Sharman, the wife of the late Bill Sharman, former great Celtic.
His number's in the rafters.
Yes, and who left the Celtics, went back to Los Angeles because he played at USC, becomes a coach, gets credit for inventing the shoot-around, the pregame shoot-around.
Oh, that's
the
funny.
Lakers did it before anybody else did, and guided that team to their title in 71-72 with an assistant coach by the name of Casey Jones. So it was two former Celtics
helping the
that
Lakers.
built the Los Angeles. That were the beginning pieces of a dynasty. Now remember, the Lakers were the first original dynasty of the NBA with George Mikan, Vern Mickelson, Slater Martin as their stars.
Are you guys taking notes on this? Because
Yes.
there's going to be a quiz
They
later.
won.
All right, hang on.
They won back in the 50s. They won 5 titles
Yeah.
in 7 years. Then Bill Russell's teams came in, and they were the next great dynasty. But the Lakers in Los Angeles, they moved to Los Angeles in, I believe, 1960. They never won until Bill Sharman became their coach in 71-72. He brings in all these new innovations, and he has a rookie sitting on a bench by the name of Jimmy Clemens, who got a chance to practice against Jerry West and Gail Goodrich every day, which was phenomenal within itself, and becomes a pretty solid point guard. For 9 years he played in the NBA, and then he becomes a world-class assistant coach, even coached in China.
What's Jerry West known for, guys, in the NBA, besides being a great Hall of Fame basketball player?
Logo.
He's
the
the
logo.
logo. Good job.
the logo.
I could play it up to Joe Braber all day long. I knew you'd know that. You didn't know that.
Nope.
Because the NHL doesn't have a silhouette as a logo.
No, they have just like the N, the H, and the L.
Yeah, I know. NHL, National Hockey League, right?
Yes.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure you were paying attention. We're also going to start. We're also going to talk with Lenny Megliola. This is going to be a basketball themed program.
Why wouldn't it be?
Well, tomorrow's night's the beginning of the NBA season.
That's right.
They will hand out the rings in San Antonio, which is a beautiful ceremony. And anybody that's ever been to one, and most important of all, if you're standing on the floor getting one, those rings are beautiful. I'm told they're estimated to be worth between $50,000 and $75,000 a ring, loaded with diamonds. NHL has pretty rings too.
Yeah.
All of them do. The one thing they do, the one thing the pro teams do, is they make big, gaudy rings.
They're so
Big,
They do.
gaudy rings. I kind of like gaudy. I mean, about this big on your finger. They're bigger than your finger.
It's a paperweight. It's not a ring.
Hey, but everybody wants one.
Yeah, that's
Everybody that suits up wants one, whether you're playing football, basketball, baseball, hockey. It doesn't make a difference. And speaking of which, I've got to bring this up to you, Jimmy. I got a call from the House of Un-American Activities regarding Jimmy Young and his statements about baseball. I had to. They want to have a serious talk with you. They're calling you to Washington to talk about your pillaring of the World Series. So stand by to sit in front of the Senate or the Congress and answer the questions
sorry.
as to
Sorry. I was watching.
why you've been this terrible to this grand old
Look,
game.
I
And
love
you have to now admit that you were wrong again last week when you said, "Oh, I'm only gonna watch." Well, now you're down to game 6. You can start watching it now.
I watch in the 7th inning.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Oh,
and
the
I'll
seventh,
watch
bro.
Game
The
7.
seventh.
And I'll watch
They
Game
just
7.
don't
You'll watch Game
baseball.
6
I
and
watch-
now.
don't understand
No. They
I
don't,
love
they-
baseball.
Joe, they
They don't.
can't get the beauty of it, partner. They cannot get the beauty
Can
of
you
the
get the
game.
beauty of it?
It's a great game.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you,
That's
you're
brilliant.
missing.
That was big. I was kind
you're
of waiting for you to
missing
back
a
me up
great
on this.
game.
You're missing a series, I'll tell you that.
But as I said, it's.
I'm not
it's,
the only one, by the way. The ratings stink. Sorry.
Yes,
baby
but then
boomers.
again, the ratings stink for hockey. Does that mean I'm not gonna watch hockey? I'm watching
Playoff hockey is
every
exciting.
Stanley Cup game I can watch. The Stanley Cup is,
Fair enough.
The
believe me,
playoffs are
it's
great.
the oldest trophy of North America.
Right.
It is probably the prettiest trophy of all of them,
Yeah.
short of the World Cup.
Yep.
The only thing that's prettier than the Stanley Cup to me is the World Cup.
And that's only because you got gold versus silver.
Well, don't knock gold over silver. I'm going with gold. I am
Don't
definitely
knock
going
Lord
with
Stanley's
gold.
Cup.
I'm not knocking
But
Lord
the
Stanley's
Stanley Cup, Lord Stanley's Cup is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And these lips have been on it. These lips have
Excuse
been.
me, I kissed the World Cup.
No.
I just want you to know. And
Well,
it is gold.
Excuse me,
I
my lips
just
have been
wanna
on the
know.
World Cup too, but my lips have been on the Stanley Cup, drinking champagne out of the Stanley Cup.
You can't drink out of
one
the
of the
World
first,
Cup.
One of the first black guys to ever had black lips on the Stanley Cup. Are you kidding me?
Love that. Love it.
Please.
Never thought of it that way, Jimmy.
Thank
what
you.
A shock.
I was there, brother.
All right. Well, guys, we're about time to wrap up this
6:27, yeah.
segment, okay, the K Sports segment of this program.
I would like to say their preview of the
interesting.
NBA is wrong.
Wait, what do you say?
They're
Wrong.
saying Spurs over Bulls, and I don't think that will be I
Predictions
don't
are
think that'll
always
be the
wrong.
finals.
Well, Jimmy doesn't like predictions. I know
I
that.
predict-
I don't.
either.
But I think it will be exciting if and only if Derrick Rose can stay healthy.
Right.
Because
Right.
see, you can say what you want about he's back, he's ready to play. He's got to get through at least the first 41 games
He hasn't
without
proved
missing
himself yet.
right, without missing 10 or 15 of them because his knee is swelling up, because this knee is acting up. He's got to get through 41 games before you can even make an inkling that he's back. Of course he's going to say he's back. He's making close to $100 million. We're just going to say, I'm not back, I'm not ready. But my whole thing is that the jury's still out on him.
Hey,
It's still out.
can the Cavaliers be there?
They can, but they don't have the chemistry just yet. They will be at the top of the Eastern Conference
Because-
because we all know the Eastern Conference is
Yeah.
not what it used to be. I
Spring it
think they
lately.
will challenge the Bulls. I don't think that they're gonna be the team that LeBron has been in.
Not
with
like the
Miami
Heat.
For 4
I
years.
get you.
I'll tell you right now, we got about a minute to go.
Yeah.
Look out for the Washington franchise. You
Yes.
do not want
Yes.
to play that incredibly talented Wizards team with those guards and those big people running up and down the floor, or they're going to cause some people a lot of problems. Because remember, they gave as much as they got last year in the playoffs, and they're only going to get better, Joe.
That's right.
They're only going to get better.
I think the Wizards are the most underrated team
Yeah.
in the NBA. No one is looking at the Wizards as a contender. I see them as a contender. You have one of the best point guards, John Wall, and then of course you have the
Beal.
surging Bradley Beal.
Oh,
and then
man.
you add the veteran experience of Paul Pierce.
Well, not only that, Nene.
Of
You
course,
got
Nene,
frontline. You have
Marcin
frontline
Gortat.
people. Marcin Gortat. These guys can play, and they showed last year in the playoffs they can give anybody a hard game. And once you get in the playoffs, those series. You lose one or two games that you weren't supposed to lose. Game's over.
All right.
Game's over.
So is
Series
the show.
over.
So is the show. So for Joe Braverman, Tom Kelly, I'm Jimmy Young. Don't go anywhere because the Jimmies comes right back after we shuffle our seats and change our microphones and get another iced tea. So the Jimmies will continue, and we'll continue with this live video stream from the Knobscot Cafe in just a moment. Thanks, guys.
No problem, guys.
Okay, we're back again and again and again. It's the Jimmy Show, live from the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. I'm Jimmy Young, along with Jimmy Myers. Yeah. And together, we are twin brothers, different mothers. And the beautiful...
See, this is not going to be the stuff you're going to hear on your local radio station.
I'm a make love, not war guy.
Me too.
All right.
Whoever's going to come buy it, that franchise is not worth $500 million right now.
No,
that franchise is worth over $1 billion. He's going to get over $1 billion for his insensitive remarks and so forth. That tells me something's wrong in my country. Something is wrong here.
Well, no. You can say yeah all you want. No. Because if it's that, Derek Jeter will take a strike 3. He'll turn around and look at the umpire. He'll make the umpire second guess it. Gee, was I right when I did that? Derek, would you like to have a 4th strike? I'm so sorry I had to call you out.
I like that. Fine. I still think it is better that they have taken power away from Goodell and put it into a committee so that he is not the only person that is saying, you're suspended for this many games, you're suspended for that many games.
All I have to do is stay black and look good. That's all I got to do. Think they can get away with just about anything. And Ray, if they had video cameras that night.
That's right.
Woo!
Right.
You may not have been Ray Lewis.
And we are twin brothers, different mothers.
And that's what it is in sports.
See you next time. It's 6:30-ish. That's the time for the Jimmies. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. I'm Jimmy Young, along with my friend, Jimmy Myers.
I'm still Jimmy Myers. Last time I checked, I'm still Jimmy Myers. Yes, I am.
Good. Thank you. Very good. It's always good to see Mr. Myers. He was here earlier with our kids. Now it's time for the grown-ups to talk a little bit about sports. Of course, the Patriots, still everybody is beaming about their 51-23 win over the Chicago Bears yesterday. Tom Brady came to play. The guy's a winner. He's always going to be a winner, and he played almost perfect football yesterday. Is he not one of the fiercest competitors that has been in the Boston area?
No question. There's no question about that. But look at the team they were playing. Chicago Bears are a team that is in real trouble. They have major problems in that locker room, on the field. So, I'll take the win. Yes, you'll take the win. But their stiffer tests are down the road. The next 5 weeks, when they face the likes of Rodgers, Manning, and those guys, you're going to find out what this team is made of. And, it's quiet as it's kept. Brandon Browner.
Well, we talked about him.
He played extremely well. And now you have 2 corners that can play one-on-one, which frees up your linebackers to be able to do certain things. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up with Denver. But I'm going to tell you, I saw something yesterday in the Pittsburgh game that I will look for. Now, whether you remember or not, because so many of you New England fans have very short memories. Last year, Denver put a whipping on these guys, up to like 31-0, if memory serves me correctly. And the Patriots roared back. Right? Wait a minute, hold on, hear me out.
Yeah, I hear you.
The problem is that I believe that Peyton Manning and them will approach the game the same way that the Pittsburgh Steelers approached the game with the Colts yesterday. You keep running up points. You have to have add-on points. Almost like playing baseball in Fenway Park. You never have enough runs. So they're going to probably figure, if we get 31 or we get up on them, we're going to keep driving the ball. We're not going to the running game. We're going to keep trying to keep pressure on their defense to score as many points as possible. Because of watching Roethlisberger yesterday, I was not surprised. No, but I was not surprised that the Colts came back.
Yeah.
I just wasn't surprised because I know Andrew Luck. He has that beautiful short memory. Make a couple of bad plays, turn around and come right back.
Right. And
so I wasn't surprised he was going to do that, but I was more impressed with Pittsburgh's offense, and I was less impressed with the fact the Colts defense is just not that good.
Right, and I think that's where I was going to go is how good are those defenses of the Colts and the Steelers? They're giving up that many points.
They're not that good.
And I think you're going to find that the Patriots defense is going to get better and better now because of Browner's presence, because he's got Revis on the other side. And they're going, look, here's the beautiful thing about football next week. I think everybody agrees the Denver Broncos are playing the best football in the league. Every power ranking I've seen over the last 24 hours has the Denver Broncos as the #1 team in the NFL. The Patriots jumped from 7 to 3.
Right. Yep. Well, that's
And the Cowboys,
That's
hang on
more
a
or less
second.
to hype the game. Too.
I understand, and of course, it is.
Cowboys are 2.
The Cowboys are 2, and they're playing tonight against the Washington football team.
Yep.
And
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate.
I'm
that.
trying to. I
Go
really
ahead.
did. The last show, I kind of snuck in that other name, and I didn't like it. I don't
Okay.
like it. You know.
Go ahead.
But that being said, it's going to be fun to watch tonight, the Washington football team against Dallas, because I think Dallas is playing really good football. I don't know how the heck they're doing it, because it's basically the same team they had last year. For the most part, they lost more players than they gained. But it'll be interesting. Look,
Well, one of the
before
biggest
hang on a second. We got 1 minute before you have the biggest problem, because I want to set up the call that we're going to make, because Jimmy has been working hard on lining up this interview with Jim Clemens, the assistant coach for the New York Knicks, and we're going to make that call. And Jimmy, tell us a little bit about Jim Clemens as I make the call, and then let's put our little earpieces in so we know we'll be able to hear him, because that's what we're able to do here at the Knobscott Cafe. It's very exciting. Let me just make
I got
this.
to know Jimmy Clemens back in the year of 1971. I know some of you weren't even born at that time. He was a rookie playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. He had been drafted because there was speculation that Jerry West, who had suffered some major injuries, was getting ready to retire. So they drafted Jimmy Clemens in the fact that they were ready to replace Jerry West, and they had a top-flight rookie coming out of Ohio State who could score. He could flat-out score. But then, once Jerry West decided he was going to play another year, and his health did not deteriorate, it stayed at an even level.
There you go.
Now you have a very talented player in
got the
Jimmy
ring?
Clemens. No, I can't hear it.
Well, you put the other there.
So, yeah, I can hear it. Thank you. Now you have a very talented player in
Say
this.
hello. Say
In
hello
the
to them.
gentleman that's on the phone, Jimmy Clemens. How you doing? Jimmy,
Jimmy,
can you hear me?
can you hear any of us? Hi,
Yeah, I
Jim.
can hear you.
All righty. How you doing, Jim? Why can't he hear me?
I don't know why he can't hear you, but I'm going to do this. Watch this, because he can hear me. Right, Jim?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
All righty. As I was just saying, Jimmy Clemens, you come into the league in 1971, 72. You get a chance to be a part of one of the greatest teams, as far as regular season is concerned, in the history of this game. I also mentioned the fact that people were talking that Jerry West was going to retire, and it's one of the reasons why the Lakers drafted you. But here you are as a rookie. You get to come in and practice against 2 Hall of Famers in Gail Goodrich and Jerry West every day. Let's pick up the story from there. What was that like as a rookie coming in on that team with 4 Hall of Famers, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Gail Goodrich? What was that like, Jimmy? I love to laugh.
Well, it was a wonderful experience. It's not too often do you get drafted by a team that has that type of personnel, that type of, as you said 4 future Hall of Famers, and well, at that point in time, I'm not sure. Pat Riley knew that he was going to be a Hall of Famer, and I'm thinking Pat's a Hall of Famer. Am I correct on that or not?
Yeah, as a coach, but not as a player.
Okay. Well, not as a player, but see, that's even better, because I think the Hall of Fame should also recognize those that make contributions, not necessarily, due to their athleticism on the floor, but what they do for the game. So I think that's also very good critical thinking. But getting back to the 4 that you mentioned, it was just truly an honor. I mean, let's face it. When you're drafted by a franchise, you expect to just come and play and try and earn your stripes and do the best you can to contribute to an atmosphere and culture that will lead to hopefully some success. And that certainly happened to me in this particular case. And so I was very happy, very thankful that it happened. And once again, I didn't get a lot of playing time that year, but certainly being in that type of environment, I thought was going to be conducive to a good career for me. I thought the people that around me while I was playing basketball minds, and You couldn't ask for a rookie in this case, being able to provide a background and to learn the game of basketball and hopefully he can contribute somewhere down the line.
Jimmy, think about this very quickly. The fact of what practice must have been like going out there with those guys. Because you told me practice was intense. Because I'm going out there to show them I can play. And they're out there saying, yeah, we know he can play, but he has to wait his turn. But practices were pretty intensified, weren't they?
Well, practice were good, solid educational experiences. And then, as we broke training camp that year, I was aware. I knew who Bill Sharman was as a coach, but I had no idea about his coaching philosophy. And we have stats in practice, shooting percentages, turnovers, which teams play well against each other. So, very thorough, and what he did, and he pulled me aside before we broke camp, going to Hawaii, and he told me I'd had a good camp. But you have to remember, Bill was the coach when the draft took place. I was Craig Schautz's selection, and so I was kind of like given to him, and I don't know if I'd been his selection, if not, but I was drafted and Bill was named coach down the line. So, it was just kind of, this is what I got. This is what he got. And so I think that not knowing me and not knowing maybe what to expect, maybe I surprised him about, how I played the game or how I competed. I don't know, but he didn't play rookies anyway, so it didn't make a big difference. But he told me that I played well, but he didn't play rookies. But he had certain things that he wanted me to do to kind of earn my stripes, and he would be, looking at me as I participated in practice, and I hopefully would grow. And he made certain suggestions for me if I wanted to play down the line or if I wanted to have a solid pro career, which I did take in heed and under advisement. But it was kind of, I'm not gonna say why shocking, but he said that he had a lot of veterans to play in front of me, and that they were going to get the first opportunity to play, and I thought that was fair. I mean, once again, he didn't know me from Adam, and nothing in my athletic career up at that point in time had ever been quote unquote given to me anyway. I felt that this is part of the script of being an athlete. You earn yourself a position on the team, and then you earn playing time, and all that is meted out, and you don't worry about it. And but he just flat out told me that he didn't play rookies. They got hurt, and they were going to get the first opportunity to play. And we started, if they couldn't play well, then I would get an opportunity. But in the meantime, my job is to make the veterans play hard every day, don't take days off, to learn as much as I can from the veterans. In those days, scouting reports were given orally in the locker room prior to game, and players went around and you virtually talked about who you were going to guard that particular night, and the strengths, the weaknesses, and how the strategy was going to be to defend them. And so you were expected to know these things, and coach suggested that I keep a notebook about the various guards I'd be playing up against, and the tendency, and in my spare time review these notes, and so that when it came time to play them, I would be familiar about the scouting reports that were given, and watch the game intently during the game, and don't get caught up on other distractions. So very solid information, and I just love being a member of a professional team. And hey, man, we played back home for free. We played in college to get a scholarship, and now I was a professional, and I was getting paid. This is my career, and I was loving every bit of it, man.
Hey, that's great. Jimmy, this is the other Jimmy, and now we have 3 Jimmys on the Jimmys. We have a lot of Jimmys tonight. I got to ask you about this year's team and the Knicks, and talk a little bit about the adaptation of Phil Jackson's triangle offense to the current personnel that you have with the Knicks. Is that happening, or is he adapting his own philosophy to the talent that he has on his roster?
Well, let me say this about the question that you posed to me. We're running what is called the triangle, but the correct name is triple post, and it does have a sideline triangle feature, and that's how we deploy our teammates and our colleagues to hopefully the best execution in basketball, and so that we have an opportunity to win night in. Phil and Tex Winter made the triple post, I guess, historic in the sense of what they were able to do, and I've been fortunate and very blessed to be a part of this, because when Phil took over the team head coach of the Chicago Bulls in 95, 96, 80, 89, 90, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was the newest member of that staff. In fact, I was the only new member of the staff because Tex Winter, Johnny Bach, Phil were the assistants under
That Doug Collins?
Oh, wow. Under Doug Collins.
Yep.
Yeah, man. The story and all is getting ahead of me. But the fact is, and then there was some questions. Tex wanted to run the triple post under Doug, but Doug was against it. Doug didn't like the offense, and so Doug ran the offense that he thought was better suited, which is fine and great. But Phil was a believer in the triangle, and then when he got promoted to head coach, then he was able, under Texas guidance, to run the triple post. Phil is now the president of the Knicks, and Derek Fisher is the coach, and Derek is running the triple post, and we're trying to institute it as an offensive weapon, and what we want to do offensively, as he has learned it under Phil and so forth. So, Phil's the president, Derek's the coach, and until Phil comes out of his office and runs practice, this is all Derek's business. And I mean, sure enough, we do have Phil's blessings. Don't get me wrong on that. But Derek is doing the coaching and the teaching of it, and along with Kurt Ramos and myself and Rasheed Hazard, we're trying to give it our best rendition based on the personnel that we have. And to be honest with you, Jimmy, the spirit, the energy and practice has been wonderful. The guys have embraced the knowledge, and they respected what the Lakers have done with the triangle. They embraced what the Bulls did in doing their run. We've watched clips. We tried to not imitate, but we see how it's been formed. We see the precision and how the ball has been shared. But that's just a guideline. The team that we have right now that's going to take the floor on Wednesday night, they're going to run it, but they've got to run it to their own identity. And we're not trying to imitate what the Bulls did in their run and what the Lakers did in the 90s and the early 2000s. But what we're trying to do is just put the personnel that the Knicks have available and just run a solid offense that has all the ingredients that we think are needed to be a good basketball team. And that's just sharing the basketball, that's being very good fundamental with our skills and that we're learning from it. And as we move the basketball, set screens, and hopefully knock down shots, that's the basis of what we're trying to do.
Basically, you're still talking about the offense, though, Jimmy, and you're looking at a whole concept of the league and how much it's changed since you were a player, since you first became an assistant coach until now. Now, everybody talks about the egos of the players. Everybody talks about these young guys are hard to coach, but you're telling me, as I'm listening to you, that this group that you have has been receptive as to what you guys are trying to do so far.
Well, they have been. Now when the rubber's going to hit the road is how successful that we are. And if we go through some difficult times, will they still be committed? To this point in time, I mean, we were 3-5 in our exhibition games, and there were some games right there that could have gone differently. But the fact is, when we meet those dog days of February,
Oh, yes.
January, and if we go through, I mean, we've got 18 games starting Wednesday night. We've got 18 games in the next 31 days. So we're going to have, we don't get off to a good start. With the press
games in 31
and
days.
the need to win in New York City with the media, how ruthless will they be, and the fact to play, and what questions they're going to throw out. But our hope is that we're strong enough mentally and physically and committed enough that everything will end up through the hard work and dedication that we won't be drawn apart. We'll have some success, and at the end of the day, the commitment and the dedication of what we're saying that we want to do, we won't waver, and we're going to stay true to who we want to be and trying to become as a basketball club in 2014, 2015 season and beyond. And we all know it's not going to be easy. I mean, I think you'd be absolutely foolish to think that it's going to be a walk through the park. And you look at the teams in the East. I mean, Chicago on Wednesday night, Cleveland on Thursday night. We played Toronto twice in the preseason. They're going to be a tough out. I think Washington's going to be a tough out. We know we recognize we've got a tough road to hoe. But the fact is, will we have enough success that we, and our locker rooms staying packed to say, yeah, we know we're going to have some difficulty, but through the storm and through the trials and tribulations, we're going to stay committed to being a good basketball team, and this is what we hope to hold together.
Now, I noticed you didn't mention the Celtics in there, Jimmy, and I understand why. First of all, that being said, I do want to ask you about the back end of the roster. When you have that kind of a schedule, how much do you do more teaching of the back end of the roster? The guys that are 10, 11, 12 on your roster, as opposed to relying on your starters to burn themselves out in the beginning of the season?
No, well, you have to have some depth in this league, and we, as you look at our roster right now, and to be honest with you, right now we've got a couple of spots based on our matchups Wednesday night. I can't tell you point blank who's going to start. But that being said, we think that if we don't start Amari at the 4, then he'll come off the bench, and we've got Jason Smith that can come off the bench if we start Amari. I don't know right now. We're going to start J.R. Smith, and that means that Iman Shumpert will come off the bench, or Tim Hardaway Jr. So we've got Pablo coming off the bench, and probably the backup. So we got good solid backups. The question is, as we look down our roster, if we got to manage minutes so that Amari doesn't get worn down, and we got to manage minutes so that Melo doesn't get worn down. So I think we got viable backups in every spot, and because of the system that we want to run, and if we're good at running it and executing, hopefully we'll get knowledge out of some players that people right now think of just quote-unquote average players. But if you go back and look at the history of role players that we had in both Chicago and Los Angeles, those role players, quote-unquote, can become very, very viable people to the system because they will add to our depth. And that's what we're hoping in this particular case.
So your expectations on that, Jimmy, you're obviously, every coach, I think when you go into a season, feels like you got the right personnel, you're going to roll the ball out and just see who plays. I would also think that there's a kind of an early season expectation and you're a little anxious because it's the first game. And you still get those pregame, let's call them butterflies?
Well, I think that I don't know if we're going to have butterflies. I mean, we open up in the garden, and being at home, there are a lot of expectations, and I think that our first 3 games are going to be crucial, and by being crucial, I mean I think there'll be some indication of where we are and where we need to go. I mean, first 2 games are Chicago, Cleveland, and the game on Sunday is Charlotte. And Charlotte, I think, is going to be a team we're going to have to reckon with in the East as well. So, we just got to play. There's 82 games out there, and if we start out 0-3. I don't want it to be too low. If we start out 3-0, we don't need to be too high because there's still 79 games that have to be played, and we got to play them one at a time. And each win or each loss in late October and early November is just as important and just as vital as those games coming down the stretch in the middle of April.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know that we've got a learning curve, and we know that we're a basketball club that a lot is going to be asked of us, and people are going to be reviewing how we play and how our body language is and how we react to the whole season. But the big thing, we just have to play together, and we've got to play night in and night out with the best basketball we can. And to be honest with you guys, the best basketball that we can play, we have to be married on both sides of the floor. I mean the triangle and the triple post offense obviously is the focal point of the media, but we all recognize that if those teams in Chicago and those teams in Los Angeles, they were also pretty good defensive teams, and we don't want to lose sight of the fact that if we're going to be a good basketball club, and we want to have some sort of a postseason, yes, the offense has to be good, but our defense has to be better. But we don't want to get lost, and we don't want to put all our eggs in the basket that it's the offense. The offense and the defense both have to be on point if we hope to have the season that we're hoping to have.
Jimmy, you mentioned earlier about the contributions that people make to the game. And I always look at assistant coaches. I look at guys like you. I look at some of the guys and the fact that the NBA really has not recognized a lot of the great assistant coaches in this league. Here you are, an assistant coach with 9 rings as an assistant. And I know some players who would dream of just having 1. You got 1 as a player, 9 as an assistant. How do you impart this knowledge to these young guys who have never won anything and are under the pressure of New York City, of being in that fishbowl, knowing that these fans want to win worse than anything? How do you impart any of that knowledge, Jimmy?
Well, first thing, you try not to worry about other people's expectations. I think just being a professional athlete, regardless of the sport, there's a lot of expectations of your fan base. Now that's not a bad thing, because in some cities they would love to have the expectations of winning. But at the same point in time, you have to temper those expectations with your ability to digest the information in front of you, your willingness to play the team. And when you talk about team sports, you have to also recognize, as management, giving you the team and the best players who want to be part of a team. Mm-hmm. In this day and age, a lot of guys just want to be having their brand out there. They talk about winning, but you look at the way they play the game, their play isn't consistent to that of winning a championship. So a lot of guys get caught up in just trying to prove that they are the best players or one of the best players, and they talk about winning a championship, but winning a championship means at some point in time, I'm going to use the word sacrifice, but at the same point in time, good players realize that they have to be able to play with other teammates. Earlier in this conversation, we talked about Chamberlain, West, and Baylor. I mean, in 1971-72, you couldn't get a bigger three. Mm-hmm. But also, I was very blessed that I was there at the end of their careers, where Jerry had not won a championship, Elgin had not won a championship, and Will had won a championship in Philadelphia with the 76ers. And so, right, you're talking having a big three and ego, right, but they were at a point in their careers where they were willing to, right, squelch their egos to prove that they could win a championship. And it gets to be that point in time where guys say, hey, right, I've got the fame, I've got the glory, I've got the money. Now I want to win a title. And so, this happens not only in basketball, but it happens across the board, where when you start looking at your career and you want to leave a legacy, you want to say, hey, I want at least one title. And hopefully that, we're at the stage where guys realize that, they're not at the end of their career, but they certainly have some knowledge underneath their belt. And now's the time, if you want to start leaving a legacy for yourself and for people to follow, and that you can talk about after you retire, now's the time to start planting those seeds before it gets too late. And, you talk about let's find the path. Let's start putting the pieces together. That, right, we can seriously challenge to win a title. Mm. I think that's where our locker room is, and I hope that as the days and the months wind down this year, that we're in a position that we can seriously talk about, right, we can do this. Mm. And they understand, quote unquote, what the sacrifices mean, that you learn to play with the guy next to you. You learn to enjoy the other things that the stat sheet brings, other than how many points you average, and talk about what's really important, truly important, in winning and accomplishing the goal. These are the things that are very important. And these are the things that, right, we're trying to mentor, if you will, through not only our actions, but more importantly, our words, on the coaching staff that we've assembled, that is important if we're going to talk about seriously winning. Mm-hmm. And if we're talking seriously about not only winning, but ultimately winning a title, then we understand personal agendas. Everybody has them. And winning a championship should be a team. That's a team goal. But how do you get to the team goal and satisfy the personal agenda at the same time? That's what you got to balance out if you're in a team sport.
And I don't care if it's Michael Jordan, I don't care if it's Kobe Bryant, I don't care if it's Derek Fisher, in regards to Derek Fisher also being a guy that understands that role. It's all about roles. Jimmy, let's do this again very soon, okay?
Hey, you know the number. I love to talk basketball.
Yes,
so
you do.
I'm at your beck and call.
All righty. Thank you so much, Jimmy Clemens. God bless you, and good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was a great interview with Jimmy Clemens. I want to thank our sponsors here at the Knobscott Cafe and our friends at Scrub It Up Car Wash, because we need more sponsors, obviously, and we're just happy.
And people say, how can you write every day, 3, 4, 5 times a week? I said, are you kidding? In Boston, right? If I don't have a story idea when I wake up in the morning,
I'll get one.
By noontime, it'll
Somebody will throw me one.
No, it'll fall in your lap.
Exactly.
Someone will be hired, fired,
Oh,
arrested,
that's
or
funny.
whatever, you know. So it's been a great town to, and I've been very privileged to do this long, as Jimmy knows, you know, and as you know too. So, yeah. Interesting when you're talking to Clemens, because I was thinking with Jimmy on the side that earlier today, you talk about getting nervous starting a season, NBA season, no matter how many years you've done it. Well, how about David Blatt, the coach of the Cavs?
Of the Cavs.
Right.
Who's right from this area.
He's coached right down the street, Framingham High School. And he, in fact, I talked to Smokey Moresi. He's the coach, and he's going out. I don't know if it was David or the Cavs, but they flew Moresi out last week so he could watch, you know, his protege.
That's nice.
Coach. Yeah, it was really a great thing. He sat there, and David Blatt was a very smart kid. He went to Princeton. That doesn't make him basketball smart, but that just makes him smart. And so after a practice, someone pointed out that his Blatt's high school coach is with us today at practice, right? So Kevin Love went over to Moresi and said, has this kid always been this smart? He said, well, he says, the kid's a genius. He's 55 years old. He's no kid, but he's a rookie, you know, so he called him a kid, yeah. So he said, and Smokey said, look, yeah, he's always this smart. He said he was 8th in the class of 400 at Framingham South High School, you know, so, but that's going to be an exciting time. Thursday night they open it at home, the Cavs, and Smokey told me that he was out there for 4 or 5 days, and the city's electric. You know, about, you know, obviously LeBron back, and adding Love, and they got Kyrie Irving there. I mean, that's a new big three.
Oh yes.
You know, we had the big three in Boston. But those guys were a little longer in the tooth at the time. They won the championship in 08.
They still won one championship in 08, as you mentioned.
I mean, that was,
but they were getting down that road. Let me think about this, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and believe it or not, I'm old enough to say, I played in the same court, and I played with David Blatt. And we plan on having him as a guest on this show to talk basketball. I mean, I know it's a very difficult situation for him as far as the season and everything is concerned. But boy, it feels wonderful to see somebody that you know like that who has paid his coaching dues.
Yeah.
Russia, Israel. This guy is coached at just about every level that you could name.
Yep.
And now he's finally at the point where at 55 he can say, all right, and I know a lot of Cavaliers are going, this guy's really smart, but let's see what he's like under game pressure.
Yep.
When he's got to make the big decision, who's going to take the last shot? LeBron, not you tonight.
Yep.
What? Are you crazy? Yes. No, LeBron, go over there. Go over there. Kevin will take this shot, and believe me, I've known Kyrie Irving's father when he played at BU, Dredrick.
Yep.
So I'm wondering what it's going to be like when we get down to the last shot. Remember with the big three, when they asked all three of them, who gets the last shot? And Paul Pierce immediately said, well, give it to Ray Allen.
Yep.
I want Ray Allen to take the last shot. And Kevin Garnett consequently said, yeah, let Ray Allen take
Sure.
it. Well, Paul was saying in his mind, yeah, but if it really comes down to it, I'm going to take it. So,
Right.
you know.
And Pierce, I don't think he was being disingenuous.
No.
He had taken that shot for so long.
So long.
You know, didn't have, you know, after Antoine was gone, I mean, it was all Paul for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the purest, you know, shooter of all time. By the way, I got a scoop for you guys. Ray Allen's going to wind up with Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that's what
I
they've
think
been
that's a
talking about
given.
now for a while.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it makes a lot of sense on a lot
I
of
think
fronts.
he and LeBron are so close.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen because the chemistry alone
Right.
dictates that he'll play extremely well in that
Right.
system.
He really was going to retire. Ray was
Yeah, I
going to
heard.
retire.
Yeah, he was serious, too.
But that was before LeBron left Miami,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he said, well, you know, we were close, like you guys said. So I think Ray's in great shape, as you know.
Stays in
Jimmy.
shape.
Stays in
I've never
shape.
known Ray to be out of shape in all these years.
Absolutely, right? And he's going to play for about half of what he could have made 4 or 5 years ago. But he didn't want to go through another camp, okay? He didn't really have
Could
to.
you blame him?
No.
If I could get out of training camp. Okay, go ahead. I know how to play.
Yeah.
Call me when you need me.
Yeah.
You down the end of the bench. Could you come in there? Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Because my legs are fresh.
Yeah.
I didn't burn myself out in training camp running up and down with these rookies getting banged on. No, Ray knows what he's doing.
And my waist is still invisible, so I can just go out there and shoot anytime I
Oh,
want.
my
you
goodness,
know?
and can he
so,
shoot it?
so I'm really looking forward to the NBA season as usual. Particularly the spotlight's on Cleveland. You know, of all
Yeah.
the years
And
have
it's
been
not going to be easy. You know, you
No.
guys, a lot of people think, oh, they got LeBron James. Oh, they got Kyrie Irving. Oh, Kevin Love. All they got to do is roll the ball out, and that's all you got to do.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. Ask KC and Bill Fitch how tough it was
Right.
coaching all those guys back in the day.
I always say it takes 41 games, Lenny, a half a season,
Yeah.
before I'm going to see what this team is going to meld into.
Sure.
Because each guy has to learn spacing on the floor. Each guy has to learn, I don't want to make that move because that gets in this guy's way. And particularly Kyrie, because Kyrie has the ball. And that's the biggest responsibility because, see, LeBron will be more than willing to give him the ball as long as he's making the proper
Yes.
decisions.
Yeah.
But when LeBron rebounds it off the glass and he starts putting it on the floor, everybody take off.
Yep.
Because I can get it through that traffic and still make the play at the end.
Funny you should say that, because talking to Smokey Maracy today, I said, who impressed you? I mean, LeBron's LeBron, Love's Love. He said, Kyrie Irving. And I said, why? He said, and he's been in coaching all his life, Smokey. And he said, he decides to go to the hoop,
Oh, my
right?
goodness. He
And
can
he
play.
says he
He's
gives
tough.
you 40 moves and still gets
can finish it.
Still gets to the iron.
And can finish it
And he
at
said,
the iron.
Lenny,
Yep.
I've never seen this, you know, from a player. So they got a really good thing going there. But you're right. Everyone's going to, you know, I mean, they're the target now, Jimmy. You know, they're like the Celtics.
And
with
everybody
the Tigers.
wants them.
Yeah.
See, they're everybody's game, Lenny.
Yeah.
They're everybody. Look, we see, oh, Cleveland's coming. Oh, great. We want them.
That's right.
When they go to Washington, you think those aren't going to be barn-burning battles? Chicago, that's a given.
Yep.
So you know, because they're saying, Chicago's saying, well, look, we got Derek back, which I still say I'm going to wait for 41 games on Derek. Because Derek hasn't proven to me he can take that nightly grind in the NBA yet either. And remember, this is a guy that's missed 2 years.
Yep.
The quickness factor, the speed of the game, all of these things, Derrick Rose is going to have to prove
Yep.
that he can do these things
Yep.
again. Now,
Sure.
and we're not even looking at the West, Lenny. The best part is you didn't even look at the West. You don't have to because first we got to get through the East to even talk about those guys. But as I'm looking at that dynamic of those three, because I always think Washington is that, to me, they're that wild card. The way I saw them play last year, if Wall matures enough, if Beal gets a little bit better because he got to come back from his wrist injury, man, and with that front line, they're going to be tough to play.
Yeah, they're not going to surprise anyone this
Nope.
year. Like you are, but this seems the team to watch, you know.
Yeah.
But it was amazing that a 55-year-old guy getting back to the Cavs again.
Yeah, that's great.
Can
That's a
come,
great
you know,
story.
never,
Great story.
Never
Great
coached
story.
in the NBA. Never been an assistant coach. But Jimmy, he was known to the basketball elite in the NBA, right?
Oh, everybody knew him.
Coaches,
You're right. Everybody knew him.
coaches went to Tel Aviv to watch his practices. How's this guy doing it? You know, and if you lose a game, so Blatt was asked last week, what do you think about the media critics in this country? And he says, you know what? He says, they're nothing. He said, in Europe, if I lost a game, and that's how it was there. I mean, he had great pressure in Tel Aviv.
In Russia?
To win.
You can wind up in the gulag. Are you kidding me? You can be in the gulag for losing one game. Send that guy to the gulag for about a week.
So,
and he's weathered all. And plus, he's been in the midst. You're in Israel. You know how crazy that Middle East situation is. Every game for Maccabee is like life and death.
It was.
You lose a game, front page headlines, this big, bold print. We lost? What do you mean we lost? Fire the coach. And he withstood all of this.
He did.
I mean,
and kept winning.
He's a very bright guy, though. I mean, I'm not worried about him as much as I'm concerned about, will the people of Cleveland give him enough of a chance? Like, let's say, God forbid, they don't get off to the fast start that everybody's thinking they get off to. Then the pressure is going to come. Because people are going to say, well, you got LeBron, and you have Kevin Love, and you got Kyrie. We should be winning. And you got Varejao. I mean, we have enough of a team. It doesn't work like that. If anybody's played basketball out there, you know it's a chemistry. And that chemistry is so delicate. As to one guy being out of place or one guy off page. Jimmy Clemens just said it.
Right.
One guy thinking, tonight's my night. No. Stay in the pattern. The Horace Grant, you don't get to shoot 50 jump shots if Michael Jordan's out there on the floor with you.
Right. He's a brilliant coach. And that's why he got the job. Steve Kerr wanted him to go to Golden State in the worst way because Steve Kerr is a rookie coach. And he said, this guy could really help me, right? So, in effect, he'd be a de facto head coach, too, right? But the Cleveland thing hung there. And he was interviewed. I said, who interviewed you, David, right? And he said, I thought it was, obviously the owner and general manager, maybe a few other hangers-on, right? He said there were about 20 people in the interview, right? And I said, that must have, this is right after the interview. He called me. I called him in Tel Aviv. I mean, my phone bill went, thank God the paper's paying for it, but no more Tel Aviv calls, right? And,
you don't have to communicate through Tel Aviv anymore.
No, absolutely, right?
You got to learn about Vonage. If you use Vonage, you don't get charged. It's through the computer.
Excuse me. The paper's paying for it.
Yeah, I know.
The big fella can handle it. Give him the bill, Lenny, and tell him, look, I got you a story. Be happy. That's all they have to do is be happy. You're talking to him and nobody else is talking to him, so they should be happy.
It must give you a great advantage because you've known this kid his whole life.
Well, yes. Yeah, I was the first one to write. I was certain, I went out on the limb, but I said, he's going to get the job. Because when he came out of that meeting, I said, that must have been a lot of pressure. He says, yeah. I said, how'd you think you do?
He smoked him.
Yeah, he said, I think I got him.
He smoked him.
I think
he
I
knew
got
what
him.
he was doing.
Next day, he got the job. And then all of a sudden, all the tweets on ESPN and everything,
who's black?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah,
Where does he come
right?
from? I know.
And this kills their chance to get LeBron. Okay, that was the big. Well, that was the big story.
Right. I remember that.
He's not going to play for someone he doesn't know or even has no NBA experience, right?
Wrong.
Well, wrong indeed, right? So LeBron was at the World Cup, right? And he sent Blatt an email, okay, or Twitter, whatever, and said, "Look forward to meeting you. Heard good things." Right? They met in upstate New York. Right, just their wives, and the wives went and had coffee, and they just talked it over, and they're on the same page. And you're right, Jimmy, about who's going to get the ball, who's going to get the shot. That is the least of their problems.
Yeah.
Because Blatt is a great strategist. That's why U.S. coaches went to Tel Aviv to see how he did it, right? Because
watch how his team played in that spread international system. That's so much better. Well, technically the Spurs have stolen from it too. But all the good teams now say, look, we spread the floor. We can get the isolations we want. We screen down or we screen over, and we keep rotating the ball from one side of the floor to the other. That's European basketball. We score, and nobody's going to stop us. Now, all we have to do, I think their toughest challenge is going to come at the defensive end of the floor.
Of course.
Because I think Chicago is a better team defensively than they are, and that's going to be a problem. Now, I think I know as smart as Blatt is, he will figure out schemes. Okay, look, Kevin Love does not have foot speed. Kevin Love is not a great defender, but we can hide him. We can make him do certain things that enhance what he does when he's on the floor. Varejao is going to get the tough guy to cover. Tristan Thompson is going to get the tough guy to cover. We need to keep Kevin out of foul trouble. We need to keep Kevin fresh, and we need to keep Kevin on that perimeter where he's shooting threes. So the whole offense gets spread out. Varejao has the block along with Tristan, and We'll play outside. We'll play inside out instead of trying to be outside in. But I think the biggest problem is going to be defensively, Lenny. I just do.
Yeah, probably because it's true about Love. Not a great defender, great player though, great passer. But they have a 7-foot great passer in Love, a great 6'8", 6'9" passer in LeBron,
Yes.
who's become a better passer, better player, all-around player
Correct.
year after year.
Including-
He got the championship monkey off his back twice,
goodness.
right?
Yep.
What do I have to do?
Almost got 3.
Yeah, right.
Because remember,
But you guys are both basketball guys. You guys have already talked about chemistry, how long it's going to take them to gel, and we all know that they have to play better defense, and that is all about playing together to know
Right.
where your limitations are, where your strengths are. Jimmy, you talked about Kevin
how
Love.
we funnel,
right?
Jimmy. Who are we going to funnel
Right.
to certain sides of the floor? This strategy, Lenny, you've covered this game long enough. Think about this. Paul Pierce was a pretty darn good defender in his day. But as he got older, he
Right.
couldn't handle LeBron.
No.
So they said, okay, all right, no problem. We get James
for
Posey
48.
to come off the bench,
Yeah.
and Posey can cover LeBron. He can cover the 2 guard. He can cover the 1 guard and then you get Sam Cassell, who's not a great defender, but we can cover certain guys. Blatt is smart enough to know, look, when certain guys are in the game, this is what's going to happen. If we're out there and we're out and we're ahead, we can play these guys for this long. Now, we can't play them any longer because the game's going to condense, it's going to get tight. But we know that LeBron is going to defend. We know Varejao is going to protect the rim no matter what.
Yeah.
We know Thompson is going to be a good offensive rebounder who will play some defense. If you sell the other 2 guys out there on it,
Oh, they're sold.
I'm just saying,
They're
once he
sold.
sells them
Yep.
that, and if they're starting to hold teams 90 and under with the offense they have, they're going to win.
I'm glad you mentioned Posey because he
Oh, what a
and
player.
P.J. Brown
One
and
of the
Cassell.
worst. One of the worst situations that the Celtics ever made was letting him go for that kind of short money.
Yep.
They should have kept him before they. Well, PJ was going to retire anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
PJ was
but
walking.
he did his
so-
job.
But
He did his
but
job.
Posey was so
Yep.
vital to what that team did.
Yep.
And you wrote it. You said, "See how they're letting him go for this little bit of money."
Yep.
You keep him because the other guys are 1 year older, 1 year slower.
Yep.
See, you don't. What's the expression? You don't get younger in this game.
No.
You only get older.
Or in this life, guys.
Right,
No,
right.
you don't.
You just
No,
don't.
Not in basketball though. But I guess we do have to address the Celtics.
Yeah,
And,
I would like to talk, because it's interesting. You're talking about David Blatt being, basketball IQ and all this. I mean,
Yep.
Brad Stevens has the same kind of reputation as far as a
Yeah.
student of the game.
Yeah.
No
And-
question.
And I wonder when what other teams are going to start picking up on this, and it's only going to happen with success. So if the Cavs go out and do a great job under David Blatt, that everybody loves. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Right.
So back to the Celtics, how quickly can that young team embrace what Brad Stevens is preaching and become competitive in that East? Because as we all know, the East is just not that strong.
True. Part of me says they're going to be infinitely better this year, but I don't feel it deep in my heart. I got to see it.
When you say
To your
40
point-
games, I mean, they won 25 last year.
Right.
So
Thir-
40?
38.
38,
to 40.
okay.
38 to
If
40.
they get 38 with this
39, what the
roster,
hell?
if they get 38 or 38 with this roster, a lot of things are going to have to fall into place. First things first is Rondo's ego. He's going to
boy.
have to understand max money's not out there for you. Nobody's going to give you that until you step on that floor on a night-to-night basis and prove that you can do it again.
Sure.
Now, if you decide that you're going to give Brad Stevens a hard time, they got to let him go because you got Smart. I think Jimmy Young, not that one.
No,
the
James,
other one.
James Young.
That Jimmy Young can play.
Yeah.
I mean, he proved it
can
in the
shoot.
NCAA. He can play,
He's
Jimmy.
19 years old.
Jimmy, he can play. Jimmy,
love
everybody
the
in this,
f- you don't think I
a lot
love
of
him?
people in this league are young Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'm saying James Young is one of those rare guys that walks in and wants defense. Marcus Smart plays defense. You have guards along with Bradley. You got 3 guys that are going to get up in your face. They'll press 90 feet sometimes. And Stevens now has to say, look, Rondo, we know you're good offensively.
No,
but Rondo can be a liability on defense sometimes. He does not play the other end of the floor.
It's only
You
because his
can
brain
gamble
takes
for
a
steals.
timeout.
No, you can gamble for steal. No, because I think Rondo, when he wants to play defense, Meglio,
Yeah, he does.
Lenny, I think he can be a good defender.
Right, but his
The front court guys, Bass and the rest of these guys, Sullinger, they'll hold their ground. But where they're getting killed is dribble penetration. They get killed by the teams with good guards, Jimmy. Golden State, Washington, Chicago. They're going to get killed on certain nights against those guys unless these young guys, smart, young, Bradley I'm not worried about because Bradley's just going to play defense inside out.
He's already there.
If they come together fast, then you can look at your possibility of 35 wins. I'm saying if they get 35, they should consider themselves lucky, and then next year you jump over to 40. But you're a generous man, and I know you're a good guy. 39?
But I did say
39?
I'm not convinced of it, right?
Right.
So
Did you offer our guest any iced tea?
Yes,
and make
he's
sure
got
it's
his
not
iced tea right
spiked.
there.
It's not spiked, big
It's
fella.
not spiked,
so
and
be
it-
careful
and it's not
before you
sweet.
drink it, because you might jump over. And I'll really get.
I'll go 40. I'll go 40 just because.
Hey,
okay.
I don't
would
make
say
predictions, but if they
that-
win 40 games with this team,
Is he the coach of the year?
I'd be surprised.
Oh yeah. If
If they win
do
40?
that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But-
No, I take it back. It'll be a race with Black. The
Right.
reason being, because if Black wins 55 to 60, he's got to be in that conversation.
Right. So what's easier? Coaching a team that's filled with great talent or teaching a young team how to play the game the right way?
Well, usually, if you don't have the talent and you're the underdog, I mean, the Cavs aren't the underdog this year, right?
No,
The
you're
Celtics
right.
still, so
Not gonna happen.
I would think if Blatt wins 55-60, and then they're going to, that team is expected to be in the finals.
Right.
So the Celtics, you can give them 30, 35, 38 wins and make him coach of the year.
40.
But it's not going to get him. It's not going to get him to the postseason.
You're right.
Nor do you really
so-
want them to get to the postseason, which is such a weird thing as a competitor because you have to go out and want to win every single
Yeah,
game.
well,
You have to want it. How badly is the question?
Well, Grossbeck and Pagliuca would like to see him make the playoffs because that's
Exactly.
ka-ching, ka-ching,
All that,
ka-ching.
all that
Oh,
playoff
sure.
money? Are you kidding me?
If they
Give us
go-
one series. They'll say,
Right.
we'll take a best of three.
Like I said,
It's not a best of three anymore.
if
We'll
it-
take a best of three if we can get one game.
Even if they go out in the first round,
Yep.
I mean, and people wouldn't expect more than that. If the Celtics make the playoffs and it's one and done, they say, well, you know what? There's a little sliver of hope here for next year. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it.
If you could pick one player for the Celtics right now that's in the NBA, not LeBron James, not Derrick Rose, who's the one player that you think would do they still need that shot blocker? Do they still need the guy in the key to make that, be that intimidator?
A rim protector, you mean?
A rim protector, yeah. Is that what they're
Celtics.
missing?
They are missing that, yes, but it's not the end all and be all. If the other guys do their job,
Because if you keep guys out of the lane, you don't have to worry about rim protection. If your guards defend,
perimeter.
you don't have to worry
Yep.
about getting constantly beat into the middle of the floor or beat from the baseline to get into the danger areas. See,
Correct.
the danger areas are a triangle. If you stay underneath the basket and you go out and make a triangle to the top of the key, anything inside that triangle is your danger area. Now, you've covered enough basketball. Bill Russell even talks about this. Now, if with Bill Russell, I can reverse the triangle, put the point down there, and let it extend out like that, and that's how the Celtics play defense.
Right,
But
but
today, you don't play defense like that. You play defense where you say, look, we must stop the penetration of the other guards. I mean, I have heard Tommy Heinz. You get broken down on the dribble, bad things happen. And the young teams have a tendency to get frustrated when you're playing Golden State, and there's another guy. Don't leave out Steve Kerr, because if they win, he'll still has Mark Jackson's team. But
Right.
if they win, he's going to get a lot of votes for coach. But think of this now.
Yeah.
You're playing those type of teams with two guys who can get 50 on any night. So if you're trying to shut down or at least contain, I'm not asking you to shut them down because you're not going to shut these guys down. They shoot the darn ball too much. But if I can contain those guys, Lenny, I got a shot.
Yeah.
Because then I got to look at the third player in that mix to me, and people do not give him the credit he deserves, is David Lee. And the fourth player is Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
So they got
4 guys that you have to focus on every time they're on the floor. Okay, look, if they're playing the second unit or the first unit, we know Klay Thompson's going to be out there. We know he's going to be one of those guys out there with those guys.
Sure.
And my feeling is that, do you have enough firepower to play with that type of team that's going to run up and down, is going to shoot a ton of shots?
Yeah.
I just don't. Right now, see, I'm trying to explain to my colleague that the most important thing is that they give me the effort every night. I want to see them give me the effort, and I don't see.
Right.
I don't know if Rondo's so much of a distraction
Isn't
that
that
they
a
start
shame?
following the craziness of what he's putting there. Perfect example.
He's the best
You and
player.
I years ago on a show, and I said on a radio station, I said, Lenny Megliola, they're going to have to get rid of Antoine, and they may have to trade Paul too. Everybody went crazy.
Yep.
My phone lines lit up. You out of your mind? We're never going to trade. I said, I'm telling you, they cannot play together.
Okay, so are you saying that now about Rondo?
I don't know if he can play on this team. Because, see, Rondo thinks he's an established player, but he thinks he's still Rondo of 2008, 9, 10, where he's not. And he has to make the adjustment now. I've got to see if he can make that adjustment.
Where is he different? He only played one way. I've said and written about Rondo plenty of times over the years. He's not the best point guard in the NBA, but he's the most spectacular.
Okay.
And sometimes that
And it's an
burns
entertainment
you.
business. I understand that.
Yeah.
But, okay, how is he different? Well, one, he's
Attitude.
different because he defends less now than he used to.
Yeah, but he never could defend.
No.
though. He
There
never-
were moments
yeah.
where he play a little defense.
No, he
but
would,
I'm saying he doesn't play
Jimmy,
any
he
now.
would take chances and get a steal now and then and say, "Whoa, what a terrific defensive player." He
Yeah,
never
but remember,
was.
remember, big fella, if I got Kevin Garnett backing me
That's
up,
right,
and I
makes
got
it a lot
Hall
easier.
stepping in, and I've got Ray Allen helping me out, when you got those guys, we want you to gamble. Go for it. Just do what you need to do. And be frenetic and be wild. But what I'm saying now is that he is exposed when people go at him. And then his attitude gets, okay, well, I'm going to go back at them.
Well,
you
that's it.
can't do that.
And that's when he goes wild.
That's
Make
when
a
he goes-
bad pass.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying.
I mean,
So what
be
I'm
calm.
saying is that's where he's different. When he had the 3 veterans around him, they could calm him. Remember, Kevin would put his arm around. Hey, come on, man, come on. We talking a timeout.
Right.
Calm down.
Well,
Sam Cassell, calm
he,
down.
He and Pierce, KG and Pierce, wanted Rondo to run the show because they know as a point guard
Hey,
he
they're
should.
legs, yeah.
And he was also a very sensitive kid, not a kid anymore, but back then in 08, 09, he was a sensitive kid and thought the point guard should run the show. So I give KG and Pierce, particularly KG, credit for just what you said,
Yep.
demonstratively going up and just, physically touching him, patting him, saying, "This is your show.
Yep.
Lead us."
Yep.
And he said that a couple times.
And he
that,
kept him strong.
Yeah,
But
he
there
did.
is no KG
Yeah.
now, Lenny Megliola.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
nobody there
He's
to
the
put
show.
their arm around him and say, look, man, this is what we need from you.
He only has to hear it from the coach. He doesn't have to hear it from
But
anybody
what
else.
if he's not listening?
Does he tune that coach out?
Everybody's saying right now he's not listening, Lenny.
Well, what coach would he listen to?
Who knows?
If you trade him.
Who knows?
A lot of people
Who knows?
probably wouldn't want to take Rondo. They would have
Oh, I
taken.
guarantee you a lot of people
Yeah.
do not want to take him.
Yeah,
I've talked around the league. There's a bunch of people say, no, too much of a headache. No, can't deal with all that. Because if he's going to do it his way, and he's not going to incorporate what his skills can do
Yeah.
in the flow of what he's doing,
The word will get out.
Rondo can easily average 10 assists a game. Easily average 10 assists a
Well,
game.
he-
Without
he-
taking 10 shots.
Yeah.
He doesn't even take 10 shots. He's so good penetrating. He's so good kicking. He's so good doing all the other stuff. But my question becomes, once he's doing it for a little while, you just said it, he flares off and goes wild. If somebody, I remember a night that they were playing Golden State, and Stephen Curry was lighting him up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Rondo
That's
completely
no
got out of the
crime.
game.
That's no
But it's no
crime.
crime. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But he completely got out of his game.
Got frustrated.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry's offense took him out of the game. Because
sure.
Stephen Curry doesn't play any defense either.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, why are you playing into what he's doing? Just keep running the darn team.
Stubborn and
I
moody.
know.
Stubby and moody. As any coach and every teammate will tell you. That's why KG was always trying to pump him up, right? You're the man. We follow you, right? Well, that wasn't the truth because he wasn't going to score, but he had to be told that. He had to hear that. Okay, you guys, you future Hall of Fames, want me to run the show. Okay, I can do that. And you can.
Then
But
how are you going to be captain
when you don't show up because your birthday.
That's it. No,
Because
he
you bought a
can't be
brand new
captain.
because you brought a brand new Maybach and you want to drive it around, so you got Maybach flu.
Yep.
And these are all stories that are out there, and everybody knows them. I'm not telling this audience anything
Yeah.
they don't know.
Yeah.
This is not the guy to be captain. I'd rather have
No.
Avery Bradley as the captain of the team.
Well, so would I. I mean, you know, it's like Iverson. Practice, right? I'm the captain of the team. Practice? I'm not going to
you
practice,
see where
right?
he is.
Yeah, probably broke.
Out
Yeah.
there in the world,
Yeah, I saw
and
it.
a guy that kicked out the last at least 3 to 4 years he
Yes.
could have had in the league.
Totally
Could have
agree.
left with glory.
Totally
Could
agree.
have left with anything he wanted.
Yep.
Would have probably got a front office NBA job,
Yep.
tattoos and all. They wouldn't have cared. But could have been a spokesperson to talk to young people. Allen Iverson destroyed the end of his career.
Yeah, he did.
And that's so sad because I talked to Sonny Hill about this because Sonny's in Philadelphia and he dealt with Charles Barkley, he's dealt with Allen Iverson, and you talk about diverse personalities.
He knew Wilt. He knew
All.
every Philly guy.
And
Sure.
I'm just saying that it's so difficult to look at those guys, Lenny Megliola, and say, look, guys, we're not going to win if you play this way. All right, perfect example. The year they played the Lakers in the finals. Lakers 11-game win streak coming in. First game, one of the greatest games I've ever watched in my life.
remember that.
Overtime, remember?
Yeah, sure.
He hits the shot, he
Yeah.
steps over Tyronn Lue,
Yeah.
and he did it. Lakers come back and win 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got crazy. He started saying, oh man, I'm gonna do, this is my chance. And Larry Brown told him,
Yeah.
no, because they're gonna switch
Yeah.
Kobe onto you next game, and that's
Right.
not gonna happen anymore.
Yeah.
So Kobe played him for the next 4 games
Right.
and cut his production in half.
I understand that. And all you had to do was cut it in thirds, and they were going to. The Lakers was just so much better. I mean,
But they could have made it a series, Lenny. He could have made it a better series. The pressure was on the Lakers in that game, too. Lord knows if they lose that game, too, then the whole series is up
well,
in the air.
I don't know if they could have made it better because it would mean the Lakers would say, go out and get your 45, Allen. We'll guard the other 4 guys.
what they're
right?
gonna do.
And he would go for 45 anyway. He was points oriented, although he was a pretty good passer, right?
It was when he wanted to be.
When he wanted to
When
be.
he
yeah.
wanted to be.
Yeah.
And he could shoot much better than Rondo.
Yeah.
I mean, he could shoot better than a lot of guys. But he was a volume shooter, Lenny.
Mm-hmm.
Volume shooters kill you in this game.
Yeah.
I need guys that are going to take 10 shots, and I know they're going to hit 5.
Mm-hmm.
And on a good night, they're going to hit 6 or 7.
Yeah.
On a bad night, they're going to hit 4. 4 of 10, 40%. Okay, he didn't have a great night, but he was there.
Right. And Iverson would throw it up 24, 25 times, too. So he was a one-man band, right? He was spectacular. I mean, he was great to watch for
The
entertainment.
fans in Philly
you know?
loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some great years there.
He did.
I mean, won 4 scoring titles. And he will probably be in the Hall of Fame. But when I look at him, ringless. And he had a chance to get there. See, what I'm saying is that if you want to be that great player, once you finally make it to the finals, this is the big stage, Lenny Megliola. I got to step up now and show the complete game.
Yeah.
I got to show I got 48 in game 1. I'm going to cut that down to 24, and I'm going to get a bunch of shots for everybody else. Now, guys, come out tonight and hit some shots, and we're in.
Yeah.
And if we get to the 3rd or 4th quarter in game 2, I'll bring us home.
Yeah.
I'll bring us home.
Right, but the Sixers were never that
No.
team with him. I mean, he was the show.
He's the show.
He was the show. And he was going to put it up 24, 25 times, and they got used to winning that way, you know. But to go all the way,
No.
the one final, great. I mean,
I said make it a series. They could have made it a better series and get beaten 5.
4-2 of
4-2,
maybe.
yeah, 4-2, or maybe you stretch it out to that 6th game is really a tough game for the
Yep.
Lakers to have to play. Now, let's shift to tomorrow night. San Antonio, they get their rings and everything. It's a clinic. They put on a clinic. That's some of the best basketball anybody has seen in this game. Now, Lenny, you and I go way back.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention a couple of teams that people, and please go to your library because you're going to need to go to your library. I've seen this stuff and it's memorized in my head. The Celtics were a running team of the 60s. There wasn't great ball movement. They got it off the boards, they ran. The pressure on you, pressing and running. But that Knicks team, where the ball movement, when Bradley and DeBusch are at the forward spots, they played beautiful basketball. The Celtics played great basketball too, but I'm talking about beautiful basketball.
Yeah.
I didn't see that again until 1977 with the Portland Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
That was a magnificent basketball team.
Well,
and if
yeah.
Walton doesn't get hurt, they might. It was 60. Well, they won 50 out of 60 the next
Yeah.
year before he fractured his ankle.
Yeah.
Okay, then we spin up. Michael's teams were. No, I'm sorry. No, not that type of beautiful basketball. I haven't seen that kind of basketball until this past year, where guys were. Where's the open guy? Oh, he's over there. Bang.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I got to make the extra pass. Here, Lenny. Boom. Lenny says, nope. Take it to Jimmy. Boom. I'm going. And they, oh my goodness. I'm sitting there watching it saying, this is clinic basketball.
It was, but you know what? They pretty much did it the year before too, when they should have won, when Pop screwed up, and
Thank you.
And Duncan. I mean, I watched that game because we're all rooting for San Antonio because they play a pure game. Remember that two years ago,
my
right?
goodness.
So they should have won 2 in a row.
Yep.
And last year, and I thought, Jimmy, they came so close to winning it last year, and here they are with Miami again in the finals. And are they going to make the same sins that they did, the year before? And to put that behind him and stick it to Miami like they did. He had LeBron. They had LeBron scratching his head, and everybody on that team later. It was.
Remember, Dwayne Wade, a year older.
Yep.
Dwayne Wade was.
He wasn't
just
100%.
could not.
No. Right.
Physically, he couldn't do it.
Right.
And they had no other options. But think about this: the year before, I still think the media let Pop off easy. Because if I was in that room, there would have been some harsh questions asked. Wait a minute, hold on. You have Tim Duncan, one of the 5 best players at that position, at power forward, in the history of this game.
Yep.
You need 1 rebound to be NBA champions.
Yep.
You not only take him off the floor once, you leave him off the floor twice. Balls bounding all over the place.
Yep.
Rolling out, and Ray Allen who kicks it back. Remember, the first shot LeBron took was a brick off the side of the backboard.
Game was over, we thought.
Game is over.
Yeah.
All Tim does, okay, even if I don't get it, I'm going to make sure nobody else gets it. When Ray Allen got the ball and he didn't shoot it and kicked it to LeBron and got a second chance, when he hit it, I said, oh boy, here we go. And then you foul. See, the brain never stops for me. Then you foul Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard went there, I said to myself, he does not want this. He does not want this. I'm putting this on a young guy. Oh, no. He was lucky he made 1.
Yep.
So he makes the 1.
Yep.
Then they come down. They call time. I said, where's Duncan? Are you kidding me? What are you doing? And one of my friends said, it's Pop's arrogance. He honestly thinks that they can win without Tim Duncan on the floor.
No.
Gee, I wonder, does he remind you of anybody local by any chance, Mr. Popovich? He doesn't like the press. He doesn't like to answer questions.
No. He thinks he's above it.
Would he be in Foxborough?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's
Right.
exactly who I was thinking of, Lenny.
Because, man, he'd be on fire if I was in that room. Oh, Lord. Belichick and him. See, guys like that, I always say wind up getting themselves, Lenny. They always wind up getting themselves in there. I don't care how many games you win. I don't care how many championships you win. Bobby Knight is not a person that I would ever want to be anywhere with. Bill Belichick is not a person I'd want to be anywhere with.
The funny thing is, outside of football, he's a different person, Jimmy. What you see on camera.
We don't get to see that part, Jimmy.
Some
We're
of
not
us who saw that,
following
some
him
of us
around.
saw the NFL football life. I'm sure, Lenny, you saw
please.
that.
Yep.
That's a made-for-TV documentary, Jimmy. That's made for TV.
And
he's supposed to come
See,
across
Jimmy,
like that.
and I
he
agree.
had a personality when he was younger, too.
I would agree with Jimmy on my left here because, that football life, it's a great, it's a great thing like
No,
that.
but he had last say on it. I know.
I know, but not only last say, but you're on camera all the time, so you're always going to do try and and not that he
And
went
we're
on.
only going to edit out the good parts of Lenny.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about when he says, Lenny,
Yeah.
the microphone a couple of weeks ago, this stupid thing, bang, and he throws it.
Yeah.
I said to myself, gee, I wonder if the NFL is going to find him for that one. You're destroyed. No, it's not a shield.
Yeah.
It's a logo.
Yeah.
Shields are what you use in
Right.
battle. That's not a shield.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, what is he? He said, this stupid thing.
Yeah.
Boom, and he throws it. I'm sitting there
Right.
laughing, saying, oh, well, here we go again.
Yeah, but now I agree with this Jimmy on one aspect of it, that Belichick is different away. And you say, how do you know, smart ass Lenny, right? Well, I'm going to tell you because I've seen it. Not that I saw it, right? Many years ago, but not all that long ago. He's coaching the Patriots, right? His kids went to the Fenn School, private school in Concord, okay? And they were having a big benefit, a fundraiser, right? on the campus, right? And they were going to do a sports talk show, right? Not talk show, but it was
Q&A?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much Q&A, because all the big money people,
Question and answer, okay.
alumni had the money, right? So was Yastrzemski, Derek Sanderson, and Bill Belichick. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And E.M. Swift, who's a hockey writer for SI at the time, who lives in Concord, was the moderator, right?
Great guy.
I said, this is going to be, because it's all going to be Derek Sanderson, who's not shy, right?
Right.
And Belichick.
You know Derek.
And I said, how much money did they pay Yastrzemski to come here? Because he hates the public.
He
eye,
hates it,
right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I found out his granddaughter was going there. So, I mean, it all figured now,
It all
right?
figured- okay, it
Right.
figures in.
So now the seminar starts, right? And it's not Q&A from the audience. It's just the three of them talking, right, with Swift, the moderator, right? I said, this is going to go nowhere, right? So Belichick asked Yastrzemski. He said, Yaz, he said, I always wondered what a first base coach does, right? And I said, oh, that's pretty good. You got a little sense of humor, right, Bill? And I said, Yaz has no sense of humor, right? And Yaz says, I'll tell you what he does. He says, if you try and stretch a single to a double and you're out, you're going to get your butt chewed out. And that's what a first base coach does, right? Yeah. So they had, and Sanderson was funny, of course, and talkative, and it went splendidly. I couldn't believe it. So after it was over, I went down and I said to Belichick, I said, the guys that cover you every day would not know this.
Never
Bill
see
Who the heck
Belichick.
is that?
Right.
Never
right.
see this.
And he said, and don't tell them. He goes,
That's him. That's Bill.
because that's my persona. I built it, and
That's right.
Do you know
who he learned that from? Who did he learn that from?
not Parcells.
Why? Parcells
no.
loved the microphone, but he never gave you anything that
No,
he
but
didn't want to
he
give
loved
you.
he loved the limelight.
Yeah.
And, Parcells.
Bill loved the spotlight. Bill ate the
Parcells
spotlight
was
up.
great.
He ate it
He
up.
was terrific at it too, right?
Bill knew how to handle that whole crowd situation.
And why? Because he
Bill-
went through the New York scene.
Exactly.
So he comes to New
Belichick-
England.
Remember this. They both started out in the New York Giants organization. That's where they got their big breaks.
Right.
George Young, the man. I mean, when they won, they defensive coordinator, head coach. Nobody went to him. Nobody had to talk to him. You got Lawrence Taylor. You have Carl Banks. You have
Harry
you have
Carson.
Harry Carson.
Who
with
else
a
you need?
great defense, and
Yeah.
you don't need him. You have, Martin.
Yeah.
Harvey Martin. You have
Bar.
all these guys. You're supposed to win.
Yeah.
So they pick up 2 rings. And then there's some personal stuff that I do know because I talked to George Young, God rest his soul, before
Yeah.
he died, why they got kicked out of there.
Yeah.
But they leave. So now Bill has made it. Once you won that second Super Bowl, Lenny, Bill is the hottest thing going. Bill can get a job anywhere he wants to. Now Belichick is climbing up the ladder. And people keep forgetting one thing. And I know that this may frost some of you Bill Belichick fans. 38-44 in Cleveland. And remember, they were 0-2. And almost he was that close to losing his job when Mr. Drew Bledsoe decided, I think I'm going to take on Mo Lewis, this linebacker on the sideline. I'm going to go macho and see if I can crash into him. Creating Tom Brady. God love him.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, it's the fates or the fortunes of how things change in a blink of an eye, particularly in this game.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Brady never gets to the field because Drew Bledsoe had a $100 million contract, and they got to pay that off. And they're saying, look, Drew gets a hole knocked in his chest, almost dies. So what they tell us, but I'm saying, here is a guy that once he starts winning the Super Bowls, Spygate, whatever, once he starts winning the Super Bowls, everybody falls in this line. Okay, he's got 2 there. He's got 3 here. He turned down the Jets for us. Oh, man, this guy's all right. He walks on water. Now, we're not going to talk about Shanakia and all the mess off the field where he's trying to tell his players to live one way while they're reading the newspaper and find out that it's not. All I'm saying is that he's not the guy he portends to be. And you said it best. Don't ever tell those guys. I don't want them to know that I'm a decent guy.
Right.
And I just say, Bill, when you walk out in a press conference and you act the way you do, there's a bunch of people sitting there waiting. They're just waiting for you to fall. They were waiting for Parcells to fall too. But Parcells had a glorious fall. You remember how messy Parcells' divorce was? And I'm not talking out of school. I'm not, because I don't care what they do off the field. But that was messy. And it was one of the reasons why he had to get back into business. He had to get that $20 million from Dallas because his wife took him to the cleaners in the divorce.
Right, but that was a schism that was bound to happen. He and Kraft never hit it off.
No.
Never quite. And I'm not sure the Crafts ever really trusted, Parcells.
No.
And
they inherited him
they
too.
Knew he
don't
wanted
forget.
power, Lenny. They knew he wanted to run.
Sure.
His book is out now.
Yeah. He wanted to be George Young.
Yeah.
He wanted to have George Young power. Because remember, George Young was the guy that hired it. That was the quiet power behind what was going on in New York.
the famous line.
Maris said, look, this is it.
Right. But the famous line in New England,
groceries.
they didn't let me buy the groceries,
Right.
and that said it all. I mean, he was very clever. But getting back to how he handled media, I can remember, Mondays there'd be a Monday press conference, right? With Belichick, it's yawn. With Parcells, and I'd be sitting next to Bob Ryan, right? And you know what? You didn't even have to ask him questions. He was so entertaining. He could talk about history.
Yep.
He could talk about
Right
horse racing.
Right guy.
He had a lot of interest.
Right guy.
I mean, he's just the total opposite of Belichick.
Right.
You see what you get from him every week. Okay, hey, but he has cachet because he's won 3 Super Bowls, right? So you stay on forever. But do you guys think that when he leaves, he's 62 now, and I don't think Brady. See, I still
You don't think
maintain.
it's going to be Josh
Wait, I wanna hear
McDaniels,
this,
by the way?
this.
I want to hear
this. Go ahead, Lenny. I want to hear this.
I've maintained. I'm probably going to look like a fool in this because the last 2 or 3 years, when people after he hit 35, the talk about Brady, how long is he playing, right?
Okay.
And even 4 weeks ago, they were saying,
He can quit now.
get him out.
trade
Right,
him.
yeah,
Right.
exactly,
He can quit
right.
now.
But I always maintained that he won't play when he's 40. And I said, "Hey, come on, look, especially now he's on the uptick again, right?" And I said, "Well, he's 37 now. Next year he'll be 38. He'll play next year. Probably play when he's 39. But if they haven't won a Super Bowl by then, and if that team is going downhill, with the life he's got waiting for him and the life that he's in, why would you stick around?"
Loves to play, though. You know that. It goes to the soul of an athlete.
But Jimmy, you
Right, but
realize,
do you
Lenny
like
said,
to lose?
You realize
No.
at a certain
He
point,
hates to lose.
this team is not going to get better. They're going to take a dip unless you got to make a run now. If they
I agree.
make that run and get there this year or next year, okay. But you got to damage Gerard Mayo, severely damaged now.
Yep.
Because you have a defense that gives up tons of yardage. And he can't continue to say, look, I'm going to put myself out there every week trying to get 30 to 40 points with all that pressure and heat coming and taking all these hits I'm taking. No, he's too smart because to me, it's not just his life, Lenny. I think that Brady has much bigger plans of things that he wants. Jimmy always said, well, he's going to be up in the booth and so forth.
No,
no.
I say he's going to run for president. That's what I
I wouldn't be
say.
surprised.
That's
but
what
I'm
I
just
say.
saying, I'm saying that Tom Brady knows he's going to make a ton of money. I could easily see Tom Brady in the booth. I could easily see him there and using that as a springboard to go where he wants to go.
I'd be shocked if he does that.
I think he'd have fun.
I
think he would have fun.
No, who knows?
I think he'd have
we
so
could-
much fun. Plus, they're going to pay him a fortune.
Yeah.
You'd have to get killed on the field. I'm getting $2 million a year just to sit up here and talk about what we do.
I don't see him doing that because that's just going to take away from, some of the guys that go in the booth say this is more prep than when I was playing.
yes, it is. It is.
But I tell you, 2 people.
What do you think he's going to do then?
Who? In his afterlife? Oh, I think he's going to take a few years off, and his wife makes 3 times as much as he does. So he's got a goal. And he's going to be 40. And you just that's still young. We'd like to be 40 again, but he doesn't. I don't think he needs anything after this, but of the life. I know his father, right? By the way. 2 people who will be glad when he retires, his mother and
mom and
father,
dad, yeah.
right? I can remember, and I said, why do you say that? And Tom Brady Sr. told me that when he was in college, and they were playing, he was at Michigan, obviously, and they were playing Northwestern or Illinois, doesn't really matter who they're playing, but he got his bell rung, okay? really bad. And they went down to see him took him out of the game, took him in the locker room, and he barely recognized his parents.
That's a scary
So
thought.
it is a scary thing.
That's
Now, but they would go to the games, and even the Pats games. They'd come out to New England. They travel all over the country to watch his games. And he said, Tom Senior, my wife and I, every time he got sacked, right, or about to get sacked, right, they would do this, Jim.
I know.
They would look away
I know.
and hope he,
And
when they
Pollard blew
turned
up
back,
his
he looked
knee,
up.
Pollard blew up his knee. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the most frightening. And remember, Kevin Falk's there to me.
Yeah.
Kevin Falk makes that block. He doesn't blow by Morris and hit his knee.
Yeah.
That's a devastating injury that he still has to work with every day right now.
Sure.
So I'm saying that I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. I just know the future. The road is so wide.
Yeah.
He can pick whatever lane he wants to
Right.
get into.
I don't think he's tough enough to go into the booth, right? Because he appreciates, and he knows. I mean, if he ever writes his books, it's going to be interesting because he'll tell you what he really thought about all these guys leaving,
And he'll talk about management, too.
right up through. Oh,
He'll
yes,
talk
that
about-
would be the topic.
He'll talk about the penny
Yes.
pinching and the stuff
Yes.
that really irritated me. That
Right.
we could have possibly won 2 more Super Bowls
Yep.
if they had spent a little money here,
Sure.
a little money there,
Yeah.
not let Vinatieri go,
Yeah.
not let Wes Welker go. Because
Yeah.
I guarantee there's probably going to be a chapter about Wes Welker in there because
Oh,
he
yeah.
was so hot over
Oh,
that one.
absolutely.
And that's his security blanket
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah, it's certainly Welker, Mankins.
Oh, Mankins. Man.
And not so much. Not so much Vinatieri because Gostkowski's, done quite well.
Yes, he has.
So
Yes, he has.
I mean, no one's
Yes,
better
he
than
has.
Vinatieri.
But nobody
but
knew
that's-
that.
Plus, wait,
Right.
and
Nobody knew
I
that.
love
No.
Adam, and he's still one of the most accurate kickers of all time.
Yeah, at 40,
he had
at
lost,
40.
He had lost the length to his kicks. He definitely, he's never been known for
Well,
50 plus.
Why
He's
did?
been known for being accurate and
No question
clutch,
about
Jimmy.
accurate. I'm not
and if
saying
he
it.
needed a 50-yard field goal, if memory serves me correctly, the year the Colts won, they had to kick 5 field goals against the Ravens, and one of them, if memory serves me correct,
Right.
was in the wind about 50 yards away that he nailed. So Adam Vinatieri can still kick.
I'm not saying he
He's
couldn't
going
kick. I
into
love
the-
Adam.
He's going into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And Jimmy, you got to remember, if he lost a little length, which they all do eventually, right? He went to a dome, so it didn't
Right.
matter.
That's right. Well, that was a smart
Exactly.
move.
Yeah.
I say I can kick him a 50 in here.
Right.
Don't
You know.
I can kick him a 60 in here?
Jimmy, he wasn't going to Green Bay
he
in
wasn't going to Green
December.
Bay.
That's for
Exactly.
sure. So. But that's an interesting organization, and the clock's really running on that team. Let's see, because there will be a day that we'll sit here and talk about a
Good
coach,
old days.
a coach not named Belichick,
Yep.
Right.
and a quarterback not
Who's going to be the
Brady.
coach? Is Josh McDaniels going to
No.
be the coach?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay,
No,
so they're going to bring in somebody from outside.
Yeah, maybe they already have. It'll be one of the hot shots. It could be
Look,
one of the.
there's so many guys out there.
Harbaugh
Nick-
There's so
brothers.
many guys
Saban?
out there
Yeah.
that you
Nick
just don't know.
Saban. Nick Saban is making 9.7 this year. They just did his contract, and it's for 5 more years. Nick Saban is 62, same age as Belichick, and he does not need the NFL anymore.
And he's saying
He
to
learned it,
himself,
yeah.
if we win 1 or 2 more, my statue next to Bears is insured.
Yeah.
So they'll be hanging my statue right next to Bears in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium. Please.
In fact, I think they would move the Bears country and put him out front, right? It'll be like
Nick
he'll
has the
right.
big spot
So,
now.
Yeah,
That's funny. I like
that's
that.
how it will be.
Oh,
Nick
that's
will be
funny.
Diana Ross, and the bear will be the
The Supremes.
And
Bear, I
yeah.
know you're up there
Yeah.
shaking your little tooth,
Yeah.
your little tooth, your little hound now saying, not yet, Megliola,
Yeah.
not yet. Oh,
but
Lord, that's
seriously,
funny.
Jim, I think
That is
you're
funny.
right.
I like
think
that.
even if he wins one more,
Yeah, one more.
4 national championships,
Yeah.
and probably a shorter. I have to look it up.
Shorter
but-
span is just about anybody.
Than Bear.
Is that
certainly,
counting the one at LSU too? Are
Uh,
you counting as one at LSU?
no, just at
Just-
Alabama.
I'm
yeah,
saying he's got 3
yeah.
there now, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
So if because it got back to back. If he wins that 4th one, I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer anyway,
Oh,
so we
he's
don't have to
in.
worry about that. We
He's
know
in.
he's the first ballot
Yeah,
Hall of Famer.
sure.
I'm saying once you get to 4, once you get to 5, and remember at Alabama, it doesn't make a difference because they don't recruit, they reload.
Yeah.
They're going to be in that Final 4
Yeah.
because you want them in the Final 4. And I still think Notre Dame runs the table, you want them in there because they're going to bring that big crowd with them.
Yep.
People keep forgetting when Alabama kicked their butts 2 years ago, Notre Dame had just as many people in that stadium or more people in that stadium than Alabama had.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey guys, I knew that this would be great, and I appreciate Lenny you coming out here on a Monday night.
You better come back.
Well, I had to drive a whole mile and a
half?
half, from Natick,
I know, we were so
I couldn't walk.
I had to
I
get,
know.
I had to go buy a GPS before I came here,
But
I
that
found
means
it.
you have to come back, though.
We're happy
we
to.
We'd love to have you
letting
back.
You get
Happy
away.
to.
Yeah,
Happy
and
to.
what's funny is
You'll
I'm
be
looking.
seeing more of him. I love talking
I
to him.
looked at my last show on New England Cable News in 1998.
Yeah.
You were there. You were there.
Yeah.
Gary Tangway was there. Tom Caron was there. Paul Stewart was there. It was quite a lineup.
All on the same show?
Charlie Pierce, all on the same show.
Really? No wonder Jimmy and I didn't get to say anything.
That's right.
Especially if you have Charlie.
Well, you made up for that tonight, guys.
Charlie Pierce, you are still loved and respected at this address.
Yeah, he's great.
Before you go,
Yeah.
very quickly, how many years now?
42.
Yikes.
46 and 42.
Yeah.
My man.
It's, and,
keep going, please. You
right.
have to do 50.
Right.
You understand? If I'm going to do 50, you have to do 50.
and my wife says, when are you going to get a real job? I said, well, this is working out okay.
Thank you. I was getting ready to say, tell her, look, I love you, but the bottom line is I'm having fun every single day.
Yeah.
Your lead line, sitting down here was the best one for me. Gee, I work in a town where every day I don't have to go look for a story. The story will come find me.
Yep. every day with four teams in this town.
I hear
It's
you.
great. And it was a pleasure, Jimmy.
God bless you.
Good to
No,
see you
always
again,
a
man.
pleasure. Please come back soon.
I'll be here.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right.
Just ask me.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All righty. Jimmy, are you ready? Well, Jimbo, my mother would not like. The Jimmy's is fine for me. He
Jimmy's.
can be Jimbo if you can make him Jimbo.
My
if you
mother
want
only
to.
called me Jim, and she's the only one who ever did.
I got to say one thing, though. I'm from Brooklyn,
I know. Jimmy doesn't like
make
that side.
I don't like it either.
Oh, right. I'm from
See,
Brooklyn.
no,
I'm
I'm
from
from
Philadelphia.
New York. What part of Brooklyn?
I grew up 2 blocks from Ebbets Field.
Oh, God love you.
From
Well, I'm
my-
on the other side now. I'm
How you really?
in the crazy part, but we'll get to
Really?
that later.
Oh, yeah. I played at the Brownsville Boys Club.
There was an event that took place, a very special event, and so many people don't realize how important the things that happen in your young life are to mold you. There's a coach, Shelly Snyder, I believe is his
Shelly
name.
Schneider, yeah.
Y'all had you and your group of guys had a reunion. How that all evolved.
Well,
Lean a little bit into the microphone.
all right. I lean in, huh?
Too
much.
bit.
Well, we all played in Brooklyn, and we're all schoolyard kind of guys, and we couldn't make our high school team. Erasmus Hall was the city champs in 1965 and lost the city championship in 1966. But Shelly Schneider at the time had the club 5 or 6 years prior called the Consumer Boys Association, or Consumer Basketball Association, CBA. And he had taken a group of people, and we played at Erasmus Hall, actually, in the evenings. And we used to travel all over the East Coast up to Montreal.
Playing anybody. We'll play anybody that wants to play us.
Mostly YMHAs, YMCAs, all those kind of clubs. We used to have like a 36-game schedule. We played in Montreal 5 games. And so what happened is the team was about 7 or 8 years old. Shelley went on to coach Brooklyn Technical High School. And Coach Ronnie Nunn, who was the head of the NBA
officials.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And Charlie Davis, who was one of the
Oh.
great players.
Great players.
High school
Yep.
basketball players in Brooklyn history. Not New York City history, but Brooklyn history, more important. And over the 7, 8 years, we decided to have a reunion. And it was probably about 10 or, I don't remember when, 10 or 11 years ago, but I was ill at the time, and they delayed the reunion for about a year or two till I got well. So then we had the reunion in New York, and it was probably about 100 to 120 people who showed up.
Wow.
It was an amazing, all from the same socioeconomic background in Brooklyn. All had gone mostly to city schools and then ended up at City University, which I ended up in the City University as well. And it was just like the most heartwarming, amazing event that we all had. And, you know, fortunately, I was able to attend it. And until this day, Shelley now comes up every day before Thanksgiving. We have a reunion, he and I, on Thanksgiving Day.
And you're battling leukemia?
He did.
You did?
10 years ago, it's about that time. I was in the hospital 10 years ago at this time. Room 538B at Brigham and Women's. I had acute myeloid leukemia. And then at the time I was battling about 5 or 6 weeks of chemotherapy. And then after that I went home and I had a double cord transplant, which I was number 13, lucky number, at Dana-Farber. And what they did is they took 2 umbilical cords, one which they found in Italy and one which they found in Germany. And they used those as stem cells because I had no donors. And I was very, very fortunate to be here, and it's now 10 years. And the funny story is, I was really like almost in a coma for the first 5 games of the playoff that year, the 2004 playoff. I woke up in Game 6. I did.
No, you heard. Heard the game going on in the back. Wait a minute. I'm still here. Nobody's taken me home yet. I want to turn on TV.
But you're a Yankees fan, though?
No, I wasn't. But you know what? Living up in Boston, I got kind of moved into Yankeedom because of all the idiocy of up here, with the
craziness. Yes,
craziness.
yes, it's crazy up here.
Yes.
Yes.
It's crazy up here. But, when I was a kid, we used to go out to Paragon Sporting Goods in New York and buy black Converse because the Celtics had black Converse.
Got it.
So we
Chucks. Chuck Taylor.
Low blacks, high
Yep.
blacks,
Yep.
whatever it is. There was only one place in the city to get them, and we got them. So I kind of been very, very fortunate over the 10 years. I'm still here, obviously, and I'm relatively healthy. I have my yearly checkup, and whatever.
I'm gonna say the same thing because I've dealt with a lot of cancer victims, Dennis. You battle it every day because you're scared to death that when I go get my checkup, I just hope it's clear. So it's a daily battle. And you will battle that until the end of your life just about. But the best part is you're here. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was going to say, Dennis, let's hear a little bit about your basketball background, because I know you love the game, you coached the game,
Yes.
and you came from the European side of things, which we were relating a little bit to David Blatt, who's now hired as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, I just wonder if that call ever would come into Dennis Ozer at some point.
No, it wouldn't. but I did. No,
Dennis,
I just
no,
had to say
no,
it.
they're not calling me.
I have a connection to David without David. When I was, I spent 10 years in Europe, from 1973 to 1983. I played in 1 year, but I played and coached in Holland for 2 years, Italy, Switzerland for 6. I was a national coach of Switzerland for 3 years. And then I was in France for 6 months, and then I was in Israel for a little bit. But my assistant coach was a very young man named Mauricio Gherardini. And Mauricio Gherardini at the time was 19 years old. And as it turned out, he became this GM and then assistant GM in Toronto for 5 years.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was, what's his name's assistant? Handpicked Brian Colangelo.
Colangelo, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he went to OKC. Anyway, in the world of worlds, David Blatt coached for Mauricio and Treviso and won a championship, as did Ettore Messina, who is now the assistant coach of the Spurs with Popovich. He's out of Italy, as was Mike D'Antoni. So my little connection with David Blatt, that's a good trio.
That's a darn good tree.
That's a good trio.
That's a good coaching tree.
And Mauricio's now in Turkey coaching, so it was good.
So you guys are students of the game. You know that now there's more of an international influx of players in the NBA than ever before. What did you see as far as the biggest influence of the European player, and what do you think it's taken for them to get to this point, Dennis?
Well, I think it's fundamentals. I think that the Europeans and they had all these fundamentals developed, whether you're a big man, small man, and actually Mauricio developed what the most famous camp in Treviso, it used to be called it's the Reebok camp. Now I think it's I don't know who it is, who sponsors it, Nike camp or whatever, where they would bring the 100 best players around the world, young players, to this camp. But Europeans, if you look at the Gasols and all these other type of people, forget about, they
Both
talk hard.
both Gasols.
Both Gasols. Look at their footwork. Look at their fundamental. And, the American game, although, superior in a lot of ways, it's based on more athleticism than it is based on real fundamentals.
It's based on Sports Center, actually. It's who can get on Sports Center and make the flashiest dunk, which ruins the fundamentals. And Jimmy has been a youth basketball coach for many years.
40 plus years of my life.
Really?
And I've got a couple of guys in the NBA. I'm not bragging, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you
I've
can
done
brag.
it. No, I don't. I don't believe in that. A lot of my guys are playing in the NBA.
Well, good.
I've coached a bunch of people.
Right.
And the first thing I try to tell young players, look at your footwork. Are your feet square instead of standing this way? Do you stand to the side when you shoot? All these things I work on for hours and hours and hours because I had good coaching. I played under Tiny Archibald, some of the greatest minds that ever played the game and coached the game.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, here are guys that taught me how to play. I want to give this back. So for all the years of being in Brooklyn, traveling around the country, traveling around the world, I've coached and played just about everywhere I've gone. And I'll tell you, Dennis, there's nothing like coaching. Nothing. I tell people that is the greatest feeling in the world to me is to teach some young person how to do something. Because it's like the old adage of give a person, teach them how to fish, and they can do it themselves. And once I see some of my young people go on, Shabazz Napier, who's currently in the NBA, is one of my prize students, had him when he was 5 years old. 5 years old, put the ball in his hand and taught him how to dribble. And I used to have to kick him out the club because he was so crazy, but he'd come back every day. Now look at him. I mean, so you must, I know what you feel because I can see it in your eyes when you talk about the beauty of this. How much further do you go?
But I got to say this. The only thing better than coaching is playing. For me.
Yeah, but
just for a little bit.
No, I agree because I stopped
joy.
playing. I stopped playing 9 years ago. Right. That was enough for me. I've won championships. I've been at the highest level played against pros, but I still enjoy teaching. I still love to hear the ball hit the floor a certain way. I still love to see when a person knows how to dribble, your fingers aren't closed, they're cupping the ball so you know what to do. All of these things, I'm teaching this to like 6 and 7 year olds. So by the time they get to college, and most of my players at least go to college and play, I'm saying this is fun. And just sitting on TV, when you turn on TV and say, wow, I coached that person when they were this big. Now look at that.
It's got to be the greatest.
Who was the best player you ever coached, and the best player you ever coached? Because that's when you talk to coaches a lot of times when they have a special player.
No, I can't think of that. Go ahead, Dennis. What do you think? Best player you ever coached?
All-around player, the best all-around player I think I ever coached is a guy who played at the University of Portland named Rick Ravio, whose son was Derek Ravio, was WCAC Player of the Year at Gonzaga.
Okay.
And Rick Ravio was a white Adrian Dantley back at the time.
He must have been tough. Oh,
he was a tough
Lord,
player.
he must have
Played
been tough.
9 years.
How big? About 6'3", like Adrian?
No, Adrian was a little bit better. 6'4", maybe. Played that kind of play. Played with Sam Mitchell.
Yeah, I know
right?
Sam.
They played in France, won a couple of championships in France, and he was about as good as he got. But you mentioned, Shabazz Napier, and then you just mentioned Tiny Archibald and Lenny Wilkins, two of the greatest left-handed players in the history of the world.
And you said left-handed, which most people don't understand.
Right, left-handed. And when we discuss the present point guard situation in Boston,
They can't play.
When you're talking about Tiny, and you're talking about the guy who's there now, please don't even make a discussion
and
about
this is what
it.
I try to tell people about the game. I say, I am not down on the current players. They don't know how to play, Dennis. They don't know how to play the game. I used to watch Lenny Wilkins bring the ball up the court. He was left-handed, so he brought it up on the right side of the court. So he was only going. You could play 18 men to the left. Lenny was going to go 19 men to the left. And Dennis, I used to sit there and laugh and say, they can't figure him out. I said, it must be the left-handed development part of your brain. You talk about skill. Shot a set shot or drove for a layup. And you couldn't stop him. So Tiny comes up, and Tiny comes with a little bit more speed, 8,695 moves going to left or right. And I'm watching these guys saying, I'm playing with these guys. And they're out on the court. And then I'm looking at Gus Williams. I'm looking at the guys that Lenny developed. That Jimmy Clemens, who was on earlier, Lenny developed him into a smart point guard who lasted 9 years in the league. So I'm saying that I was blessed by Sonny Hill out of Philadelphia. Nobody's brighter than these guys. And I was there watching Kobe develop, watching all those young people come through Sonny Hill's program. Played with Earl Monroe. I mean, Earl Monroe, people talk about, nobody covered Earl Monroe. And if you watch that 30 for 30 series that Knicks when the Garden was Eden, recent one, Bill Bradley said it best. He was the consummate jazz artist who never played the same note twice.
Oh, I love
Earl
that.
would
That's
come
great.
down and Earl would say, I'm going to beat you this way, and this way. Then I'm going to beat you this way, and this way. And you'd be going, he didn't make the same move. He scored 50 points, and he never made the same move twice.
You guys both talk about Tiny Archibald. I recently heard on sports radio, they were talking about the top 5 point guards of all time. And they talked about Magic, they talked about John Stockton, and they talked about...
Rightfully so.
And, because I think it had to do with Steve Nash, right? Tiny wasn't even mentioned. And I'm like, didn't he one of the last ones to lead the league in scoring?
Only one to ever lead the league in scoring and assists. No. The year that Wilt led the league in scoring was 68. He did not lead the league in scoring and assists. He decided, I'm going to go out and lead the league in assists. I said, Wilt, are you crazy? He said, watch this. So he averaged between 8 and 10 assists.
What is it? Why? What did Tiny do that people forget about
ask him when he comes on the program in the next couple of weeks. Because
he's one of my favorite players of all time.
He's the guy. When he ruptured his Achilles tendon and he came here.
He came back.
I was out there working out with him.
He came back.
I did a piece on him in New York and they still talk about it.
He came back. He's one of the first guys ever to come back
from an Achilles tendon
tear.
And I'm telling you, he averaged 34 and 11. Nobody's come close. Remember, he's one of the smallest guys in the league, averaging 34 a game on a team that really wasn't good. Sam Lacey was your center. Williams was your shooting guard. And Jimmy Walker came to that team too. But boy, you talk about
Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Walker was next
you know who else?
Second
was mentioned? Is Jason Kidd up there? Because he was mentioned.
Knowledge of the game, yeah. Knowledge of the game. He was a wonderful point guard, but I think Jason will get more credit for his longevity because Jason lasted so long in the league, not being able to shoot, not a great shooter, but knew the game. He knew how to create without a jump shot. If during Tiny's heyday, before he got hurt, you give him that 15-foot to 17-foot jump shot, left side, right side, didn't make a difference. Boom, ball's in the basket. Right. And Tiny was cards. I remember he got 55 against the Knicks. And this is when Walt Frazier was supposed to be in his heyday. He had Walt Frazier talking to himself. And they don't talk about this part. I said, remember, Tiny came home. Because Tiny went to Clinton, right? I think it's DeWitt Clinton. Tiny came home and said, tonight, the night, I'm playing against the Knicks in the Garden. And I'm going to torch. And I think it was in Kansas City, he got the 55. He came home and got like 40. Nobody could cover him. Nobody could cover him.
Tiny, I saw Tiny first time at DeWitt Clinton played Erasmus in 1966 in the championship. In the fourth quarter, he took over the game, and then he went to Texas Western. Had a great career there.
Yes, he did.
And when he was in Kansas City, he was so underrated. But let's not.
And he played his first year with Oscar Robertson. And Norm Van Leer.
Ooh,
they had a three-pronged backcourt that nobody could cover.
How good would they be, those three? Because now you guys are talking about this
spreading out the floor?
Spreading out the floor. Now that it's a guard league, the NBA
they'd be Golden State
with
being able to score whenever they wanted to. They'd come down and say, who wants the ball? Tiny be in the middle and say, who wants the ball? Okay. Norm Van Leer, you bring the ball down. Oscar will be on that side. I'll be on this side. I used to watch those guys sit up, and I used to study. I'm like you then. I'd sit on the front row or I'd be up the cheap seats and walk down to the front row and go,
Yeah, but for
look at that
$3 you
move.
gave it to the usher, right?
I said, no, I'm gonna sneak down there because I didn't have the $3. I say, look at the beauty of how they play. And as you mentioned, you never hear his name mentioned.
Never hear
and
his
as
name. I
long
was
as the game has been
absolutely
played, still nobody has achieved those numbers.
I don't know.
Still.
I was at a gala recently, this Shooting Touch. I think you were there. Were you at the Shooting Touch?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And my son was with me. This was last year, not the one that passed. And Wayne Embry was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had my son introduce Wayne Embry. I told him who he was prior to this. And I told him, ask him a question. He said, who's the best guard of all time? And you know Wayne Embry said?
Oscar.
Of course. He says, you talking about Michael Jordan?
Exactly.
You could talk about Oscar Robertson, who averaged a triple-double.
This is where see, this is the part that when I try to sit down and talk with young people, I say, okay, go to YouTube or go on in that. Look, you're only gonna see some video. Listen to me. This guy was like Bobby Orr with the puck.
Yes, he was the best.
Oscar Robertson did stuff that nobody has done since then.
And you could walk him right on the court right now, and age-wise, other than
70-something years old.
Yeah, but not
and he
70.
would still be able. He'd
But
be
if he
out
was
there
in prime,
saying,
if he was a
my
prime time, he's his first-team All NBA star right now.
I interviewed Oscar, and Oscar said, I would have relished playing against Michael Jordan. Because remember, Oscar was a great defender, too.
Right.
People keep forgetting that Oscar Robertson shut down Earl Monroe in the 1971 NBA Finals.
Okay.
Locked him up, and nobody could play Earl at that time. Bucks played the Bullets, remember? And they just knocked them off.
I remember
and
that.
they just knocked them off. They just swept them. Because that was the year the Bullets beat the Knicks.
Right.
So, we're on. And Earl was going in there. I said, okay, let's see. And Oscar said, I'm covering him. And Oscar was getting up there in age at this time. He was becoming an old man. And he said, I'll still play him. He said, Oscar, he's got 18,000 moves. He said, I'll cover him. Go back and look at the video of some of those games. Oscar was that good. Dennis, oh my God.
Let's not forget
Nobody
who's
close Dennis.
Who's in the middle.
Big fella, of course. You got Mr. Skyhook.
I saw him as a sophomore. Lou Alcindor we're
At Power?
talking about,
Power
right?
Memorial?
I saw him as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, a senior. Why doesn't anybody still have a hook shot? How come there's no hook shot? How come there's nobody taking a sky hook in basketball?
I'm one of the only 5'7" guys who studied his sky hook for 8 to 10 hours, and I can still teach the sky hook. And big guys don't want to learn it. I want to shoot jump shot. Why? Remember, when Shaq first went to Los Angeles, who was his? They brought Kareem in and said, "Look, could you work with him?" Shaq, I'll do the jump hook. I'll do the jump. I said, why are you jumping up with that 300-pound body, pounding down your knees? All you gotta do is pivot on one foot, throw the big sky, throw it up, and it's going in. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Of all the shots, I still tell people, number one, it's 38,000 plus points. Number two, it's automatic. I mean, he got the ball on the right block or the left block, and I used to say to myself, it's over. And people keep forgetting he had a left-hand skyhook going across the middle from the right block.
When he needed it.
So when he needed it, he said, I'll give you one of these just to show you I could do this. Oh, Dennis.
So that's an automatic shot? You know what the second most automatic shot was? A Sam Jones banker.
Jones bank shot. Oh, my goodness.
Sam
and people
Jones.
talk about Jerry West being Mr. Clutch. Sonny Hill told me, remember one thing. Sam Jones has 10 championship
Nobody talks
rings on his finger.
Does anybody ever talk about
10.
him?
That's Russell only is. Remember, Russell got there 1 year before him.
Right.
He's got 10.
Right.
And Sam Jones's jump shots won championships.
He never
They
missed.
won
He never missed.
Oh
There was
my
one game a
goodness.
week, Sunday afternoon at 1
But that-
o'clock. He never missed on a Sunday
Oh
afternoon.
my goodness, he was unbelievable.
And KC was a good player too.
Yeah, good
and,
player, very good player.
And he was a great defensive player.
But I was talking to Lenny Megliola about this
Right.
very quickly. Some of the most beautiful basketball I've seen. 70 Knicks,
Yes, absolutely.
77 Portland Trailblazers.
Tremendous.
Never, ever get the credit they deserve.
Bobby
Dennis.
Gross, back
They
door.
Bobby Gross,
Bobby Gross going back door.
Maurice Lucas,
Right,
Dave Twardzik,
right.
Johnny Davis, who I think still coaching in the NBA, and the big fella in the middle.
Right.
And Lionel Hollins
Hollins was
started
there,
with
too,
Davis,
right.
and Twardzik came off the bench.
Right, exactly.
And then remember, they went 50-10 the next year until Walton broke his ankle.
That
Because they might have won back-to-back.
That might have been the one
Oh,
greatest
my goodness.
year
Oh, my
a
goodness.
center had. He was unbelievable at that time.
Walton made his money
in that 77 season.
That was unbelievable.
Even though he got dunked on by Julius Erving about 4 times in the finals. But that was okay because their ball movement, man, they were running back doors. They were Bobby Gross was making Julius Erving run all over the floor. I said, they're going to beat these guys. And this current Spurs team. I have not seen ball movement like those 3 teams.
Well, when the Celtics were high, you know what I mean? When Bird was there, the ball moved.
It moved, but not like this.
It was different
Not
because,
like this.
because it was a little bit different. And
Yeah.
same with the Lakers with Magic because they were always on the move.
Remember, they're on the move, though.
They're on the move, right.
I'm talking
Spurs were
about
on
half-court mastery of how to run, which is European, like you just said. All Popovich did was expand the court. Say, look, let's play like this. We got Manu Ginobili, Foreigner. We have Tony Parker, Foreigner. Those guys already know how to play this fundamental basketball, move the ball. The ball doesn't touch the floor.
It's amazing. It's a backdoor
It doesn't. It's a backdoor. Look, and they kill. Please. They should have beaten Miami the year before, too.
Yeah, they should have won that.
They had them. And then Popovich got crazy. But that's all right.
Of course, I have to say for my son, who's a big D. Wade fan, the #1 D. Wade fan. No, Miami won. They got the
They did. Okay, they got it. But I'm saying,
But you're
coach,
right.
don't go crazy. You don't get that because taking Tim Duncan off the floor, I'm still going to talk to Popovich going into his
ready to
grave
go
about
after
that.
Look at him. He's,
Are you out of your
he's
mind?
upset.
I said to myself, Tim Duncan, we need 1 rebound, and we're champs. We got a 5-point lead. We need 1 rebound.
He's on the bench.
We don't get any rebounds. They get 1 shot,
Pop's
2
allowed,
shots,
Pop's allowed
3
to make,
shots.
Pop's allowed to make one
No,
mistake.
no, not to me. If you want to be as great as he thinks he is, you don't make those kind of mistakes when it counts.
Really?
No. You win as many as you can. You think Red Auerbach would have settled for that?
Of course not.
Red Auerbach would have shot himself. Red Auerbach would have said, I cannot believe that I allowed this to get away from me.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I'm thinking about all the close ones. Frank Selby's shot that rolled off the rim in 62. That could have ended the dynasty right there.
Right.
That could have ended the dynasty. And they said, we'll take a breath. We got another shot. Russell said,
And the Don.
don't worry.
What
we're
about the
in.
Don Nelson?
Oh, Lord. The last one. Russell's last one.
The one
Bounce,
that-
hits the rim, goes up. And some people still say hit the cat wire. Because remember, the cat wire came out. Doesn't make a difference. It went up, came straight back down the basket. And what about Havlicek stole the ball when Russell hit the guide wire? To which they took the guide wire off of backboards the next year.
That's right.
Never had no more guide wires holding the backboard.
It was unbelievable.
So let me ask a question, Jimmy.
I'm having too much fun.
We gotta
keep him. We gotta keep
gotta
him.
get me-
You're
It was
staying
so
around.
much
Yeah,
fun
but
to
stuff.
watch you talk about the game you love, basketball.
I love baseball. I love them all. But there's
mean,
something special about when you've taught it, you've played it.
Right.
Like Dennis, you've been such an integral. It's been such an integral part of your life.
Yeah, well, it was soccer.
Like you
for
said,
me.
nothing's like playing. I mean, I'd have an upset stomach
That's
on
what I'm
Sunday
saying.
morning. I mean, I'm going to play in the old timers, and I didn't care. I said to my, and everybody say, Jimmy's got his game face on. From the moment I walk in the door, this is serious business. I'm here to play your guts out, and if you win, I'll be the first one to go, congratulations. But I will be back next week. So we're going to play again and again
Winners.
and again
And it's
and
that
again.
and it's that competitive edge.
Let me just say this.
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
let me just finish this. The reason why, you see all this basketball, and we have the AAU and everything, but nothing matches winners in the schoolyard.
Oh, yeah.
Winners in the schoolyard makes it. Winners in the school makes you a man.
Stay. And
you
check
win,
this
you
out.
stay.
And check this
Right.
out. We never had this. I didn't learn this stuff until you came up to Boston. Make it, you keep it. Who does that? I said to myself, wait a minute, hold it. New York, we score, you got to get the other team the ball. Philadelphia, you score, you got to get the other team the ball.
Well, some schoolyards.
No, not Philly. No, we played, you got to play both ends of the
That's
court. that way.
Philadelphia. That's not
No, in
Brooklyn.
New York too. No, most parts of New York, because in Brooklyn they make it take it. But listen, you got a good player. I mean, if you have good players, you're never going to get the ball.
Right.
So you can forget all that. Or they're going to have 8, 9 baskets before you get 2 or 3. Game's over. So I said, let's play both ends of the court. And Dennis, when was the first time you played? I played full court 1-on-1.
All the time.
That's what I played.
8 a.m. in the morning.
There you go.
Till
Full court one-on-one.
When you had one-on-one.
Full
then
court
somebody can.
1-on-1.
Ah, the glory years. Did I tell you about my Little League no-hitter, guys? I'm sorry, I had to interject that. Something I drop
My
in every
neighbor.
once in a while.
Jimmy, my neighbor.
That's right. Going to see him walking the dogs. Jimmy Myers, I've never seen you so happy.
Stay well.
Hey,
Dennis
man, I'm
Ozer,
good.
stay well.
I'm
Thank
well.
you.
Please come back.
Jim Clemens, I want to thank
Please
you.
come back and get in touch with Shelley.
He coming up.
Thank
Yeah.
Joe.
coming
We'll
up.
bring him
Thank
on.
Jamie.
We'll bring him on.
Thank
you so
everybody else for watching this show. It was a lot of fun
Thank you,
tonight
guys.
to talk
The
basketball
Jimmies,
for
man.
3 hours. The Jimmies, and of course the K Sports show that preceded it. We'll see you next time on the Jimmies, live from the Knobscot
And-
Cafe. And
That's what it is in sports.